I'm done begging my teenager to respond to basic texts. I'm a mom of a teenage son who seems to think it's completely fine to ignore my texts and calls like I'm some random telemarketer. Last night I texted him asking for his grocery list, no response. I even had to reach out to his dad to wake him up. Still, nothing. Not a single word back. And today? Same thing. I texted the family group chat, texted him directly, and called him twice. Nothing. No reply. Not even a, give me a minute. Just straight up ignored. And this isn't new, it's a pattern. He'll wait a full day to respond to a basic text, and I know dang well his phone is in his hand. I've talked to him about it multiple times, and nothing changes. Meanwhile, I'm the one paying for the phone he uses to ignore me. What makes it worse? I brought this up to his dad, who is my ex-husband. I told him I'm starting to think our son sees him ignoring my calls and texts and thinks it's okay to treat me the same way. That message? Ignored too. Because of course it was. His dad just shrugs and says, he's a teenager. Give him space. No. I'm not asking for constant updates, I'm asking for a dang grocery list. And if I don't text or call first, I hear absolutely nothing. What's so mind-boggling is that my son's always been a mama's boy. That's what makes this behavior sting even more. I don't get it. The switch-up has been so out of pocket, I barely recognize the way he treats me now. Today I finally snapped. Told both of them that if I don't get a list, I'm not buying a thing. I'm not begging grown people, especially ones I feed, for basic communication. I'm beyond tired of being treated like I'm invisible until someone wants something. He is at my ex's house this week and I need the grocery list because he will be at my house this week. End rant. Update, he came in and apologized immediately and gave me a hug. He said he didn't mean to make me feel unimportant and will work on texting back and picking up my calls. He said he's usually just on his VR and forgets to text me back. I told him I get that and I will also try and let him have his space too. Stories number 2. AIO for refusing to let my fiancés and see our newborn baby until she apologizes for unsolicited jokes. My fiancé, 26M, and I, 24F, just recently had our first child. This has been a pretty big deal for us since I had a major pregnancy loss with our daughter in 2024. A couple days ago, my fiancé's aunt flew in from out of town to congratulate us and meet our son. When she got to our house, she kept making unsolicited jokes about this baby and my loss last year. My fiancé had told her multiple times to stop and got very serious about it. She however still refused to apologize to either of us and continued making jokes. I eventually told his aunt that I'm not going to allow her to see the baby anymore until she apologizes and proves to the both of us that she can be a mature adult. I made it very clear to her that I don't need empathy, I don't need her to support either of us through this, nor do I even need her to give us any grievances, all I need from her is to be excited for us in the present moment, not to compare it to the past. Edit. She got very angry when I told her this and yelled at us for being unfair and claimed we're taking her away from her own family. Am I overreacting? Note, my fiancé is in agreement with me and is backing me up on this 100%. He agrees that her words, actions, and levels of immaturity are unacceptable. Sum of comments. Commenter, absolutely NTA, lock your doors. PS, massive congratulations. Enjoy those newborn cuddles, the days are long but the years are short. Reply, thank you for the congrats, I'm cherishing these newborn cuddles for sure. He'll only be this small once. Commenter, honestly, I would have told her to leave, and put her out on the street to find her own way round and own accommodation. You have a hell of a lot of patience. I would have given her a swift kick in the rear after she was warned the first time. Reply, if my baby wasn't right there, in my arms, we would have yelled back at her. Our son was getting fed, so there was only so much we could do to remove him from her yelling, so I had to remove myself from the room as a whole. If it wasn't for our newborn being right there, our patience levels would not have been as stable. Top comments. Commenter 1, she faithful your baby your rules. And she's an AH for making jokes about the loss of a child, and an even bigger AH for continuing when you've both asked her to stop. Stick to your rules. Commenter 2, I've lost a child. She was 6. People who said shitty things then are still not in my life over 8 years later. Update, I'm not sure if anyone wanted an update, but here it is. Please keep in mind that although I posted just last night, this situation happened multiple days ago. My fiancé's aunt is currently staying with his parents. Earlier today, my fiancé went over to talk to her about it. I stayed home by choice, for what I feel are pretty obvious reasons. He went over and explained to her that we are cutting all contact with her, she's not invited to our wedding, she will never see our son again, etc. He told her that she crossed the line and that because of her actions, if we did receive an apology, we would have a hard time believing her apology was sincere. Obviously much more was said, I'm just giving a more general overview. The part that threw me off even more was the fact that she never even told his parents what happened. His parents were shocked and flipped out on her. They told her that her options were to go stay at a hotel and experience this area by herself, or to get a ticket to fly back home. None of my fiancé's immediate family, his parents and 2 younger sisters, have turned on or blamed me. I'm so lucky and thankful to have my fiancé, as well as, most of, his family in my life. Thank you for reading as well as the input I got in the comments. Stories number 3. AITA for ignoring my mom and refusing to make nice with my stepdad's son who bullied me throughout our childhood. I, 21M, was 6 when my mom and stepdad met. My stepdad's son, Harry, was 7. My mom and stepdad dated for 2.5 years before they got married and we lived together for 9 months before their wedding. Harry hated his dad dating my mom and he hated me for liking his dad. He was a real asshole to me. My stepdad always corrected him and tried to keep him from hurting me. But I was miserable. I told my mom how miserable I was and she told me it'd get better. When I said I didn't want to live with him anymore, she told me we had to because we were a family and sometimes siblings don't get along the best and it's okay for us to not be close. To name a few of the things I had to endure while living with Harry. He would spill water on or stain my homework. He broke a model I had finished for a class assignment and he deleted assignments off the family computer when I finished them. He would shut doors on my feet or hands. He threw shit at me, but specifically my head. He called me a freak of nature all the time. When we went to my stepdad's family members' houses, he'd get his cousins to all gang up on and exclude me, and a few of them were still nice to me, but he threatened to leave them out if they spent time with me. He broke my Christmas gifts one year. Smashed or ruined them all, and he got into big trouble for that, but he still taunted me that I got nothing. In high school, a teacher we shared took both our classes on an educational field trip and he tried to get me left behind and he sprayed me with water to make it look like I peed my pants. Again, that's a few things he did. He was open about hating me and he'd ignore me sometimes to make a point of it. Like one time he hogged the salt because he saw I wanted it and he refused to give it to me or answer when I asked for it, and he tried to stop my stepdad giving it to me. Harry would always get his friends to taunt me too. One incident with all of them made me lose a tooth and as upset and freaked out as my mom was, she still stayed with my stepdad and made me live with Harry. He took a gap year after high school, so I didn't even get the freedom of him leaving for college, and that was another hellish year and I had to do all my homework at friends' houses or the library in case he fucked with it. I started pulling away from my mom at like 15 and she noticed and tried to be all loving and sweet to me, but I wasn't okay with her. When I started college I moved out. I packed all my stuff and refused to go back home. Mom told me not to react like I was, and Harry didn't even live with them full time anymore. And she'd say we were both adults now and our relationship would improve. I told her I would never spend another second with him, and I said that did mean I would skip family holidays and such because there was no way I would agree to be around Harry again. I told her I blocked him everywhere and didn't care what happened, but nothing would make me share the same airspace as him again. My mom tried to act like we were good, but I pulled away more and started ignoring her calls and stuff. I don't go home for holidays. I refuse to attend anything that Harry's going to be at. I went to see my grandparents last week and Mom showed up to talk to me. She wanted to know why I was ignoring her and not visiting her and my stepdad. I told her she failed me and put her own wishes before me, my safety, my childhood, and I wasn't going to wipe it away because my stepdad was good to me. I told her I despise Harry and I don't care if he grows into an amazing person someday, he will never be my family and I will never let him back into my life. And I told her I won't start acting like we're okay either because I am so mad at her. She left really upset and my grandparents talked to me about stuff. Then my uncle texted me and asked what happened between me and Mom, and he told me I can feel like I do about Mom not protecting me better, but she's still my mom. He also told me I lose out by refusing to make nice with Harry and be there for family holidays. I told him the holidays I have now are better than all the ones with Harry and them combined. I said I did not feel like I was missing out at all. He said it's so extreme because I have a huge family who loves me and wants to see me. Stories number 4. Aita for telling my wife she can't come to my parents' dinner if she's going to change the food in any way. So, my wife, 27F, and I, 30M, have been together for 7 years. She has some strange eating habits. For example, when we start eating tomato soup, it all looks the same. But then my wife starts adding things to her soup: cream, cucumbers, onions, chopped tomatoes, hot sauce, garlic, etc. At first, it seemed a bit strange, but over the years, I've gotten used to it and don't pay much attention anymore. Sometimes we just laugh about my wife testing how much she can fit on one plate. On Friday, we're going to my parents for dinner. For the first time, my sister, 33F, will be there. She lives in Germany, and we live in France. My sister has problems and is currently undergoing diagnosis. But in short, she's very easily made to vomit. Sometimes it's about the smell, sometimes it's about the look of food. For this reason, she avoids restaurants and eating meals with others. This time, however, she intends to eat with us. For this occasion, my parents plan to make a meal as least triggering as possible. The entire menu is consulted with my sister. Usually my wife continues her habits with others' house as well. But this time I asked her not to do that and just eat everything as it was served to her and, please don't add anything to your food. I didn't think I was doing anything wrong, but she got very angry with me and she said we all exaggerate too much. And that we were only making it worse by making this meal special. I told her it was one meal and she could really adjust. We argued a bit from that point on, some unpleasant words were said, and finally I said, if you're not going to change your mind, you simply can't come. She hasn't spoken to me since then and tells our friends that I exclude her. Edit because someone rightly pointed it out to me. My wife claims she simply enjoys this type of food, but I personally think her habits may be related to how she grew up. Her family was poor, and for years my wife ate everything she could. She usually takes various side dishes that are on the table, but if she feels comfortable somewhere, e.g. her parents' house, my parents' house, or one of our friends' house, she sometimes goes to the fridge. Let me emphasize right away that none of these people see a problem with this. It's just this one situation. My parents have a, no matter what, you have to leave this house full and happy, attitude, so her habits don't bother them. Stories number 5. AITA for walking out on a double date my friend set up with him, his girlfriend and a girl I had already rejected before. I feel like I need to say this for this post not to be removed. This is not about the date, about relationships or something I want a judgment on me walking out of there. Cast, me, 25M, Joe, 26M, Jane, 24F. To give you a little background to this situation, I met Jane through Joe's girlfriend at her birthday party last year. At first Jane was fun to talk to, but not even an hour later Jane was really into me and tried really badly to hit on me during the party, which pretty much ruined my time there as the feeling was not mutual in the slightest bit. Also at the time I was already with someone. So the first impression I got from Jane was that she was clingy, annoying and just wouldn't stop bothering me. Unfortunately for me she became part of my larger friend group because she is part of Joe's girlfriend's friend group, that is a mouthful sheesh, and because me and Joe hang out a lot and I am also friends with his girlfriend, I pretty much run into her at minimum twice a month. So first time Jane asked me out was a month after that party. I informed her I was with someone and not interested. She tried again 2 months later when I broke up with my then girlfriend. Again I declined her advances and told her I was not interested. I got into a new relationship not long after, but unfortunately she and I broke up about 2 months ago. Since then, as you might have anticipated, Jane has asked me out again. I said no again. Well, that brings us to this week. Everything has been opening up here and Joe had been trying to fix me up with a friend of his girlfriend and would not tell me who. He is well aware of me having rejected Jane multiple times and the fact I am not interested in her. He knows this in detail. After a lot of what he calls convincing and I call whining, I had no interest in dating anytime soon. I relented and decided to agree to this double date idea of his. We agree on meeting at Joe's apartment and lo and behold Joe, his girlfriend and Jane are occupying the dinner table, obviously intending for my date to be Jane. I honestly just got so goddamn angry that I couldn't even get a single word out, turned around and left. I have been bombarded with texts and calls about how much of a douche I am and how terribly I hurt Jane and so on, and I am just like, I literally rejected her like 3 times, I am not interested in her. You knew that, your girlfriend knew that, our entire friend group has a running joke about obsessive Jane FFS, so literally everyone knows it. So am I the asshole? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. NTA, but your friend obviously is. Setting someone up with someone who rejected that person is cruel. Not the fact that you turned around. I would honestly done the same. Reply. I feel pretty shitty about it though, regardless of my opinion on Jane that must have stung. Commenter 2. You've made your feelings more than clear to Jane and your friend as well. You had every right to leave, as you had already rejected her 3 times and still she set herself up for rejection number 4. You're not responsible for her hurt feelings at this point. Your friend should have known better than to blindside you with a date with someone he knows full well you have zero interest in. Though if I might venture a guess, I'd say that the double date was 100% Jane's and your friend's girlfriend's idea, and your friend most likely just got pressured into convincing you to come. Reply. Even so, he is one of my best friends, he shouldn't be screwing me over like that. Even if it was 100% their idea, I still blame Joe most. Commenter 3. Don't mind the username, I'm totally on your side. If they were smart they wouldn't have set that up. It's like they were hungry for control in someone's life and they took your love life as an easy target. Or Jane convinced them to do so despite well knowing your stance about all this, which definitely says something about how she would be in a relationship. I would be yelling too. What a bunch of assholes, but you sir aren't a. Reply, God damn it Jane, leave me alone. Nah, just kidding. I honestly do not know exactly what went through their heads to come to the decision that this was a brilliant idea, and I am not sure whether I will find out, as I am honestly doubting whether I want to stay friends with them. After having more of a think and realizing that I am not really TA, despite the fact that I felt guilty, I have seen one common theme in a lot of replies, and that is that Jane's behavior is obsessive and stalkerish, and honestly, it is. They both knew this too and decided to set me up with her anyway, which honestly leaves room for a slew of other issues. Update. At any rate, like I said, here goes. It turns out that some of the more pessimistic of you were right. Jane was being obsessive and stalkerish, and it sort of all came tumbling down on her at that point. A week or so after I made my post, she decided to message me. Well, it came down to her not understanding why I was showing interest in her and then refused to date her. I never showed interest in her beyond basic friendliness. A wall of text dedicated to thrashing my previous relationships and calling them all sorts of names, specifically pointing out how I dated the wrong girls. And a weird rant about how everyone agreed me and her were meant to be, which just isn't the case. Like I said in my previous post, there is a running joke in our friend group about how weird she is. Now, you might think this is something that can be expected, something that just happens, an outlet for her of sorts, except, she sent it from the wrong account. See, I had become internet friends with a person in the past month or two. Me and her would game together, chat from time to time, you know, the usual organic internet friend situation. And the messages concerning our date were sent from this account. Turns out she had literally used this alias to infiltrate my internet friend group and keep tabs on me of sorts. Obviously this freaked me the fuck out. I took screenshots of what she had sent me and afterwards blocked all accounts that I knew now she was using. I followed that up by sharing everything in our friend Discord and in our friend WhatsApp group, so everyone could see, which resulted in her being kicked from both. And I later got a call from Joe, full on apologetic, telling me he had no idea and he knew he shouldn't have done it, but that his girlfriend was being pressured by Jane. Turned out, Jane had literally been bitching at her for months to arrange something like this, and she finally caved. Again, creepy stuff. I told him that I needed some time, as he really fucked me over big time and I didn't trust him anymore as a result. While Jane has been shunned by all friends, she still contacted me twice, once to apologize, which quickly turned into weird shit where she started talking about us. She seems convinced there is an us and I am interested, and another time just to curse at me, both from random accounts. I am not sure where to go from here and I am still pretty shook up. Final comments. Commenter 1. I knew it, I told you she turned into a stalker. Using a fake alias. And trying to keep tabs on you. I am not surprised she did this. So Jane was bothering her friend for months. Then she badgered Joe into setting you guys up. So your friend Joe caved in to his girlfriend like she did to Jane. Jane is persistent. When she wants something, she wants it. And she wants you. And she will stop at nothing to get it. By getting her best friend to set that double date up with you. It accomplished. It took months to set up, but eventually she got what she wanted. Now as for Joe. He has at least apologized to you. But it's your choice if you believe him or not. Or if you accept it. But at least he acknowledges that he screwed up. But I don't blame you for not trusting him. It will take him a long time for you to gain his trust back. But as long as he is with the girlfriend, I would not trust her. Now she calls and apologizes to you. IDK on how to handle that one. But I'll be surprised if she did. This girl lives in a fantasy world. Just be careful and cut all contact. It is she keeps getting the creepy stalker way. Depending on where you live. Tell her you will get a protective order or a restraining order against her. And you would involve the cops. Be safe and watch your back. Reply. They both apologized like full on Longa's apology via email, but I am taking my distance for them. Low contact. I don't think I want friends that fuck me over like that. As for a restraining order, I think it is pretty damn difficult to get one here. Stories number 6. My 15-year-old idiot kid got his GF pregnant on purpose. I 30F have a child who is 15M, we'll call him Ollie, plus other children aged 2, 6, 9 and 11. As you can tell by my own age, I was teen parent. I was lucky and we married at 18, still married, healthy relationship, worked our way out of a very dire situation, graduated, started a trade, etc., and we are comfortable, stable in all ways. This information is relevant. Ollie has been friends with this girl, we'll call her Bree, since he was 7 years old. Their family used to live in the same city as us and went to the same school, same friendship group. We know her parents and are long-distance friends ourselves, not close friends but say hello when the kids are on video chat, had drinks together before. Bree's family moved to a very small town 3 states away due to rental affordability. No secret, we all have talked about the rising costs of everyday life. The cost of living in this city has risen, forcing many locals out. They moved because of that and for better job opportunities 18 months ago. Since then, Ollie has been begging for us to follow, giving us a sales pitch on cheaper housing, better paying jobs, none of which fit either of our professions, the whole works. We have said no because, well, no, but even if we wanted to, our other children are in school, sports, and have friends here. Selling and buying another house, finding work outside of our skill set, or having to learn new skills, any normal adult would understand this. He does not. Well, fast forward to Christmas. Bree's family come back to our city for a holiday and the kids met up multiple times with each other. It was my understand that they were always with the other kids, but obviously not, since Bree is pregnant, and I am certain it was on purpose. He has access to condoms. I don't care for opinions on that. My access was restricted and I had him. He has had sex ed from me, my husband, school. He knows damn well how babies are made and how not to have one. Ollie now wants me to move to be with her and the baby. It's confirmed. I've talked to her parents, and I said no. I don't feel I need a reason, but he asked, "You're 15. We don't have any proof at your child yet. I'm not moving us away from our lives, and you aren't going alone until you're 18. We will do a DNA test, then we will look at parenting plans," and topped it off with a "too bad, too sad. You made your bed, now you have to sleep in it." He took that back to Bree, and now all communication between me and her parents has been cut. I'm a terrible person. My comments about the DNA test are disgusting, and it's fueling my son's hate for me. He says I am keeping him from the love of his life and future baby, using my own successful relationship as proof it will work out. I actually don't even know if I am right or not. I'm just really upset and feel like my life I worked really hard for has been destroyed. Update. Things have gone south even further. At this point, husband and I have been blocked on all social media and numbers blocked, but the communication with Ollie has continued. Ollie gave us Bree's parents' email address to send an email to, but before using that I asked him to video chat Bree with me there, and then I could ask Bree to please get her parents so I can talk to them about this and tell her that if they were going to continue to refuse, then I would be blocking all contact to Ollie and communication until this is resolved. I told Ollie this before the call. At first he flipped out about it, but it was this or I cut communication completely. I do think he understood that it is not okay that her parents are speaking to me through minors, and he said himself he would like us to talk to each other. Bree joined the call and hung up when she saw I too was there. Ollie called back a few times and she didn't answer. She asked via text why I wanted to talk to her, and Ollie told her that I wanted to speak to her mother, and if we didn't resolve the communication issue then all contact would be ended until her parents made contact with us and we make a plan for the next few months, including DNA, and then birth arrangements. Said that if the baby is his we will travel there for the birth and first few weeks after. He told her that I personally think it probably is his baby, but I want to be sure and make sure everything is done right from the start. Well, Bree blocked him with a reply, and he is totally heartbroken, not eating, sitting in his room all day and night, not mad at me surprisingly, very, very sorry for him and to us, sad about it all and I think regretful. He even asked me if there was a way to undo it for himself. I haven't talked about signing over rights, male abortion, his father called it, because I think he's just upset right now. A mutual friend of Bree and Ollie's here in our hometown showed him a few posts she has made in the last 24 hours. Things like, "It's you and me against the world baby girl," and memes about deadbeat dads. She also announced the pregnancy, which she hadn't done yet, and the post had some single mother facts and quotes. Ollie's friends knew about the situation, and a few were under the impression he had dumped her and the baby, going by the posts, but when he explained that what had happened, they all rallied for him in the comments. I said not to, and now she's blocked them, and we can't see what she has posted. This is just a nightmare. I have had a plan personally, not set, but something I wanted to talk to her parents about, but I don't even want to waste my time at this point. Ollie gave us Bree's parents' email address to send an email to with said plan. Basically, Bree does DNA blood test. We will pay the full $1,500 for it. If it is his baby we can book flights and plan to be there for the first month. I'll stay too with Ollie, maybe even the whole family, and then we can also work on a parenting plan and getting into mediation for a judge to sign off on it. Ollie's father and I spilt for the first 7 months of his life, so we have done this before and we know the process. But at this point I think I will just leave it to settle before sending an email. Edited for update. To answer some question. She is due September around the 22nd. So no, there is no option for abortion. I don't think that or adoption ever was. Ollie admitted it was on purpose last night. Apparently, it was Bree's idea first, as a joke, that turned into a plan together. Bree's parents will only pass messages through my son, and I have heard this for myself. I stood outside the door and listened to them tell him, "Tell you mother, insert info below," because I know I will just go off on her about that bullshit still. They are talking shit about me with my kid. They are appalled I would think that way of Bree when I have known her for more than half her life and do not wish to talk to me. I will not allow him to move out there alone. There are some past issues such as Bree breaking up with him twice in the last 18 months because she found someone that she liked more her new town, around August and October last year, same boy, and when it ended, she came back to Ollie. Bree is a nice girl but her behavior is toxic and has been since a child. Her mother and stepfather are nice but the relationship is unstable, the house is chaos, 9 children combined, blended family and 2/3 teens with serious mental health struggles. He would be leaving stability for chaos and no structure. I want a DNA test, I will not budge on that. I am close to cutting his contact totally at this point because they are only empowering him and reinforcing his behavior towards me and his father. His father is a man of few words. Which is unhelpful. So far he's backed everything I have said and only really chosen to say, you have the intelligence of a pair. Comments. Commenter 1. Reality is about to hit that kid like a fucking train. Commenter 2. For real. I can't imagine making such a life-altering permanent mistake at 15 years old, yikes. I'm 30 and couldn't imagine being responsible for another human being in this economy as it is. That kid has no idea how bad he screwed up. No more getting to be a kid, now you've got a child depending on you. Commenter 3. Quite the manipulative teen you got there. But by teen logic, his plan makes perfect sense. From any point of view, you can't give in to his plan, though. It would ruin you financially, ruin his relationship with his siblings, and yours with him. I would give him a detailed plan on how you and your partner manage to rise above all the risks of teen pregnancy. Focus on school, plan ahead, make sure the village is on board. And of course, how lucky you both were, that it all worked out, despite having to sacrifice so much. How does he expect you to support his child, without your jobs? But he made the choice to become a parent. So now, he will have to do what you did, focus on school, get stability, make sure to stay in his and her parents' good graces, so they can be the village they will desperately need. There is nothing he can do to support his GF physically. And as a jab, he's done enough physical support for a good while to come. He doesn't have a job. No way to provide financially. All he can do is focus on being able to do that as well and as soon as possible, so by the time he's ready to go partying, no. No, he isn't. He's going to bed early to get up for his weekend job, to save up for his kid. Edit to add. I just realized that if this becomes a family tradition, you'll be great-great-grandparents by the time you turn 60 lol. Commenter 4. Weird how you're the only one pointing out how insanely manipulative this kid is. Commenter 5. Am I? It's obvious, isn't it? I don't want to miss my girlfriend, but my parents won't move closer to where she is. Oh, I know, we will just create human life. That way, they can't say no. Giving them what they want would be insane. Commenter 6. Now he gets to miss the girlfriend and the baby. Oh well. Update. Ollie's friend was able to see her Instagram through an old account, different email. I don't use Instagram enough to know what that means, but it meant they weren't blocked when they reactivated. They found the pregnancy announcement post, and if you scrolled across it showed a digital copy of the scan Bree sent us as a 16-week scan, apparently the first scan she had at the OB. That is dated April 4th and clearly says GA 19 plus 3 weeks, making an August due date I believe or very early September. This would not line up with the due date given to us but does line up with when her parents told me she was pregnant mid-April. They told us, we've had the pregnancy confirmed, and sent a photo of the printed pic which the date isn't on there. I actually think it may have been cut off the top. I haven't told Ollie this yet because I want to be sure. I am very concerned about his mental health at the moment and taking that into considerate. But unless she gave the wrong period dates and the baby measured only 16 weeks then it's not possible for it to be our son's. Also added information, her due date from what we know is September 22nd. She was here from December 20th to January 7th and saw Ollie December 21st and 22nd and January 4th and 5th. Never overnight. I asked Ollie when did this happen, and he said January 4th was the only time, which makes more sense as they were in public gathering otherwise. They were at a mutual friend's birthday that night but never stayed overnight. I have had 5 kids and I know the dates are too close to figure it out that way. Ollie also said that the joke Bree made was to just see, if it happens, the pregnancy because then it's obviously meant to be and he would be able to move. To me it sounds like she had the plan a lot longer but I may be biased here. June 15th. I spoke to Bree's biological father, lives in this town, who had no idea about any of this. Before you come for me, there was no known DV or anything. I felt I had run out of options at this point and I just wanted a way to contact them. Bree's mother then made contact, agreed to the blood test if we paid for it. Ollie and Bree spoke again and Bree asked to come here for a holiday and have an ultrasound with him to prove dates in person. I agreed to this, but I may not be thinking straight with the stress we have all been under. She says she is 26 weeks, sent him a photo of her belly, which has grown, and told him there is no other option but him to be the father, that the ultrasound had to go by her last period date and she didn't remember, so she went by her app and it was the period before. That's why the dates are out on the scan. I asked if she had a physical booklet of pregnancy notes or something because I know from experience that they have all the confirmed information on them, but she said everything is digital with her doctor and I didn't want to push because it's not my medical info. I'm wondering if I do just fly her out here on my own terms. Her mother agreed, and do the blood and ultrasound here and put an end to it all. June 25th. We all come to a travel arrangement. We paid for Bree to fly out and her father was paying for the ticket home. Bree was supposed to fly to us this morning and stay for 6 weeks total, flying back sometime in August. Her father's in charge of that flight. She was staying with us over these next few weeks while we do our annual July 4th family vacation for a week and then a couple more weeks back here at home for the ultrasound/blood test. This was decided together, both families, because Bree and Ollie would like to have some kind of positive experience memories during the pregnancy, and obviously if baby wasn't his, Bree would be taken to her father's, and we would be finished with it all. But she never turned up for her flight. She texted the night before that the doctor did not recommend, she should not travel as she is at risk of preterm labor due to her age and her severe morning sickness makes her only be able to tolerate pineapple juice, so she is needing to be hospitalized and maybe even deliver early. This is on top of a group photo that included Bree, obviously pregnant in a tight tee, hugging the boy she was dating in her new town, his hand on her belly. It was quickly removed from her story when Ollie asked, I think it was intentional to make him jealous. I am done. I do not believe her or her parents. I have contacted a lawyer and therapist. I will not be updating again until I know the outcome of the DNA test that I assume will not be done until after the baby is born, since I was told today, I cannot force her to have while pregnant. If this baby is Ollie's and my grandchild, I am willing to move Bree here and have her live with us. It has no chance and will continue to ruin my son's life from afar. Comments. Commenter 1. So what you're saying is that the most immature people in this situation are Bree's parents. I expect teenagers to make questionable decisions, although generally not to the extent of, get pregnant on purpose so we can force people to move, but the parents are a whole new level of WTF. Reply. I am wondering if Bree has somehow maybe manipulated the situation there. I couldn't imagine being like this, and the family I have met before did not appear this irrational in the past. Commenter 2. I bet Bree gave her parents a completely different story, and I doubt they even know about her breaking up with your son to be with someone else, twice. If they think it's normal to accept financial responsibility for a baby, just because a 15-year-old says so, and without a DNA test, they are delusional. I would make sure to talk to your son about how important it is that he lets you know if and what they send him in messages or other forms of communication. And that what they are doing is not okay. They are bypassing you as parents and communicating with him as if he is an adult, about adult things that he should not be facing alone. So far, the way they played it, there was no one in those talks on your son's side, simply because they blocked you out. I'm so glad your son has come to his senses some. I truly hope he doesn't get guilt-tripped into opening himself up to them again. Commenter 3. He accepts financial responsibility. At 15 and with $0 and no job or high school degree and not even being old enough to get a license. Update. I didn't plan on updating prior to the DNA test, but I can confidently say we do not need it to know the truth. We will likely still do one if Bree sticks to her story, only I will go through the courts at this point. We have a family lawyer and he has advised these updates are fine as long as I do not identify anyone by name, location, etc. I had a lot of helpful messages on here and I do read them all even if I don't reply. One was from a radiographer who suggested that I look at the measurements of the baby on the ultrasound if I am able to get scan pictures and then use that to calculate if the baby was 16 weeks on that scan. I have kept that idea in mind if I ever got the chance to see the scan myself. The same Redditor also raised concerns that she only had this one scan at 16 weeks, and there wasn't a 20-week scan again 4 weeks later. All OBs would do a scan at 18 to 22 weeks. The one photo we have seen is a photo of a scan, a profile shot of the baby's face at 16 weeks, and there hasn't been another scan since then. We have been playing it safe and being very careful with how we tread around Bree, not wanting to cause any arguments. We have no mentioned this to them yet, and if by chance someone tells them via this post or they know about this post, we don't care. We have nothing to lose since the baby isn't Ollie's, and this is how I know. Bree and Ollie have many mutual friends, but only one other girl, Hannah, who is still friends with both of them from within the group. Hannah believes Ollie is the father because that's what Bree says, but she had a falling out with Bree this week. I lead to her talking to Ollie and then she sent Ollie a video that Bree sent her after the ultrasound in April. Prior to this, Bree had told her not to show him because he wasn't going to be in the baby's life by choice and all the things she was posting about deadbeat dads. The video shows multiple measurements being done and I was able to see clearly that the baby measured 19 weeks and that scan was the 20-week scan. There is no way that baby is Ollie's baby. She is due August 26th, Ollie knows all of this and is doing okay. Very angry, but he has the support he needs. What happens now we don't know, but we know the truth. Comments. Commenter 1. If she had had unprotected sex with multiple people, then you need your son to get tested for everything. Ollie is lucky to have parents who are looking out for him. Reply, we have done. He's been given the all clear, thank goodness. Commenter 2. Good, I hope you had a long and frank conversation with him about being more responsible with who he shares his favorite toy with. Did the STI clinic teach him about condoms? Commenter 3. His family had already taught him about condoms and everything involving sex, according to OP. He thought he was getting Bree pregnant on purpose to manipulate his parents into letting him move to her city. This was all a planned thing for him. He was being a stupid teen, and it backfired on him in probably the best way it could have. He is in no way innocent in this. Commenter 4. Yeah, the only reason his life isn't currently spiraling down the shitter is cause his ex was a bigger manipulator than he is. Hopefully this is a wake-up call for him. Commenter 5. This had to be a scheme cooked up by Bree's parents. The true baby daddy isn't someone they want her with and convinced her to lie. Stories number 7. AITA for not making my kids share their things with their half-siblings and forcing my ex to move. I, 45M, have 2 kids with my ex-wife Mel, 40FME, 14F, and Travis, 11M. We divorced several years ago after a pretty nasty split. I'm not a high-income guy, but I have a family trust from my grandfather that provides a very comfortable lifestyle. It wasn't counted in the divorce, nor could it be touched for child support or alimony, which Mel still resents to this day. Mel never went back to work after the divorce. She used to be a teacher, and I let her live rent-free in one of my parents' properties so the kids could stay close. She's since remarried and has 2 more kids with her new husband, but money seems to still be a major issue in that household. Here's where the real issue starts. My kids have a much nicer life, for lack of a better term. They go to private school, get good gifts, recently, a Switch 2, lacrosse gear, and a new MacBook, and take vacations with me and my family. Their half-siblings don't get the same, and it's led to a lot of jealousy and fighting. My kids refuse to share their stuff with their half-siblings anymore because things have been broken in the past, like a PS4 that mysteriously stopped working after a visit. They don't want their stuff ruined, and honestly, I don't blame them. Apparently, this caused yet another meltdown between Mel and her husband, and now she's banned the kids from bringing their gifts to her house at all. So now they're staying with me more, because why would they want to go somewhere they can't enjoy the things they own? This set off a domino effect. Mel is now filing for child support, which, again, she's allowed to do, and in response to everything, my parents told her she'll need to start paying rent in September. She's now claiming she can't afford it and that we're forcing her to move out of state even though she can't take the kids with her. It's turning into a full-blown meltdown. But here's the thing, and I know this is harsh, at some point, she and her husband need to get it together and stop blaming me and my kids for their lack of resources. Life isn't always fair. Our kids have different opportunities, and that's not my responsibility to balance out. I'm not going to tell my kids they have to share everything just so their half-siblings don't feel bad. That's not how the world works. I could help more, sure, but why should I keep picking up the slack because she and her husband can't provide? I already let her live rent-free for years. I don't think I owe more than that. That said, maybe I'm being too blunt or dismissive. Stories number 8. AITA for telling my wife my childhood friend will never forgive her for what she did. My wife, 32F, and I, 34M, have been married for 6 years, together for 10. We have a 4-year-old son. A few years ago, my close childhood friend, 34F, got married. We've been extremely close since we were kids, both our families were dysfunctional in different ways. At one point, my dad cheated on my mom with her mom, they got married, divorced a year later, and we basically ended up abandoned by both sides. Through all that, we became really close with each other. She even has 2 tattoos that relate to our bond. I would have gotten a tattoo too, but I'm sort of scared of needles. My wife was actually close to my friend too, and never showed signs of being insecure about our friendship, until postpartum hit. After our son was born, she really struggled. Her emotions were all over the place, and she became extremely insecure about my relationship with my friend. I was supposed to be man of honor at my friend's wedding, help plan things, and be a big part of the ceremony. But my wife was so anxious and uncomfortable, she begged me not to attend. It made me really sad, but I chose my wife. I told my friend I couldn't go and told her why. She was really hurt by it. Not angry, just really sad, but said she understood. A couple months later, my wife fully recovered and apologized, both to me and to my friend. I forgave her. My friend, however, didn't. When my wife reached out to my friend to apologize, my friend was polite but direct. She said she never wanted to speak to her again. She didn't yell or make a scene, she just drew a boundary. Honestly, I get it. It was a once-in-a-lifetime day, and she'd leaned on me for years, and I bailed. I still feel guilty about it. My friend and I still talk regularly. Nothing inappropriate, we're just close, always have been. Recently, my wife asked if there was any chance my friend would forgive her. I told her the truth, no. That ship sailed. My wife got sort of quiet and looked sad and hasn't brought it up again, but I wonder if I was too blunt. AITA for not giving my wife hope and just telling her forgiveness probably isn't happening. Stories number 9. AITA for saying I'd end a relationship if my kid didn't like my partner's kid when my brother asked me what I'd do in his shoes. My brother is a single dad with a 9-year-old son. My nephew's mom is not in the picture. For the last 3 years my brother has been dating Kayla, and for the last 2 years my brother and Kayla have introduced their sons, her son is also 9, to each other, and they spend time as a group. The boys do not like each other, and my brother has told me that both of them complain and try to get out of spending time together. The first time they met it was at a kids' play center, and within 10 minutes the boys were playing with different groups of kids. The second time they went to see a movie and Kayla's son moved seats to sit next to his friend. The third time my nephew went to listen to a different story time, but in the same library obviously. Other times they brought them to the amusement park 20 minutes from my brother's house, and they chose to go on different rides to each other, and when they went on the same one they chose to be in different rows or carts. When they've spent time at each other's houses they do their own thing. When they play games together they want to partner with their parent and not each other, and when they were forced to it ended in them fighting and refusing to play. They have attended each other's birthday parties and there were no interactions beyond forced ones. My brother and Kayla tried to plan sleepovers and were left with 2 kids who did not want to hang out with each other. If they can avoid it they won't sit next to or across from each other at meals. My brother and Kayla wanted to move in together and get married, but the boys are still avoiding each other and not getting along. Both say they don't like the other, and I'm not sure if reasons were asked or given, but neither of them were okay with the idea of the 4 living together. My brother said Kayla wants to try living together and making it work, but he's not sure and he's worried he could lose my nephew to the decision eventually or that it will hurt their relationship. He asked me what I'd do and I said I would end a relationship if my kid and their kid could not get along. I said sibling fighting is normal, but these boys aren't siblings yet, and when there are no good moments or moments where they want to or are okay with being around each other it seems like a recipe for disaster. Our mom told me not to discourage my brother and that things like this can be worked on. She told me when my brother left that I should have just supported him. Stories number 10. AITA for calling my sister out for putting me on a blind date and lying to both of us about it. To cut a very long story short, my sister put me on a blind date with a wonderful woman. I agreed to it reluctantly but was pleasantly surprised on said date, as she was pretty much my type and it was the best date I had been on in years. Here's the issue. The woman is 22, I'm 43. Now this wouldn't have been an issue if we had just discussed this on the first date, but foolishly we didn't. For some reason this conversation didn't come about for 3 months after the fact. Just for some context, the blind date was on Skype because of the current pandemic, and we only got to meet properly a few weeks ago. Nevertheless, I think due to being in lockdown, we both enjoyed having someone to talk to. So where does my sister come into it? At no point did my sister ever mention the age gap was this big. When she said younger, I was presuming 30s, not barely out of high school. On the other side, my sister had told the woman in question that I was in my 30s, not 40s. My sister is 33, so I presume she just thought we would be closer in age. Anyway, when this revelation came about recently, I was seething and had it out with my sister for matching me with someone completely inappropriate and for lying to both me and this woman she claims to be a friend. She can't see anything wrong with it because as far as she's concerned, we're both adults and we've been going well for the past few months. Not to mention that I should have asked myself and not presumed. My issue is the principle. You can't lie to people like that, especially as I don't date very often anymore after my wife passed. She claims she only did it because she knew I would have said no otherwise. So AITA for having a go at her, or should I just be grateful for her kindness? Edit. Just to clarify, the woman I've been dating does pass for her late 20s, something even she herself confirms. I have only met her in person once, and the vast majority of the time we only called on the phone or texted due to our jobs having hectic schedules. There was no conversation about our childhoods or anything which led either of us to believe the age gap was this large, and just to make it clear, I'm not remotely comfortable with this gap and my sister knew this. Extra edit, the post on Twitter with this name is from me, and just to say thank you for their support. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. NTA, your sister set you two up knowing it would be an issue for you, and I'm guessing the young lady she set you up with, which is undoubtedly an asshole move. Reply. The woman I've been dating apparently doesn't mind, but I'm still very much on the fence. 20-year age gaps just aren't appropriate. Commenter 2. NTA, but don't let this consume you. Your sister wants you to be happy, so she lied to try to nudge you along on a date. That was wrong, and she's in awe for this, but only mildly so. Put your foot down with your sister and tell her that her meddling and dishonesty are counterproductive, and that if she wants you to be in a relationship, she's not helping by doing things like this. But don't let this hurt your sibling relationship too much. Sorry for the loss of your wife, and I hope you find happiness. Reply. Thank you, that's very kind. Honestly, I'm furious at her because I feel like I was led into a non-starter. OOP replying to someone who is in an age gap relationship. Thank you for your condolences. I've not made this clear, but I'm not against age gap relationships as a whole, but I personally do not feel comfortable with it. I'm glad you found love, and love truly is a wonderful thing, so if you can find it, take it. For me, however, this simply will not work, and this young woman deserves better than an old geezer hanging on to her. Update. So I have had quite a few people asking me for an update, which was very thoughtful, and I thought it would just be easier to share in case anyone else wished to know. First of all, thank you so much for the support and love. It really did help, and made me feel very welcomed. Ultimately, I stuck to my guns and broke things off. Many of you asked how on earth I could have gone all of that time without knowing her age. Well, that was because she knew my age and initially lied to me. Apparently she and my sister had already had a conversation about my age, and how it wouldn't be an issue for her. She then asked my sister if I knew, and my sister said, and I quote, "Just play along." When I found out about this, I just had enough from both of them and left them to their own devices. It has been about a month and my sister and I are simply not speaking. She tried to call me and tell me that this was for my own good, but I just let her get on with it. I'm not necessarily mad at either of them, but I'm just done with them. The feelings I felt for the woman were more or less manufactured because she put on a persona which she knew I would be attracted to. Although it has been some time, I'm still exhausted by the whole situation, so I would prefer to keep my distance from the two of them. Nevertheless, thank you so much to those who replied and checked up on me, it meant a lot. For now I will just keep going on my own, but these things happen. Reddit and Twitter did prove that there were some decent people out there. Not necessarily saying the woman in question isn't decent, I just question her approach to this particular situation. Oh, and to those saying, a male widow is a widower. I'm very much aware of that, but after years of saying it, and having foreign relatives not knowing the difference between the two, I stopped caring as they both meant the exact same thing, a person who had lost their spouse. Edit. Oh my goodness, I'm completely overwhelmed by the responses. I've been busy, and have been in a bit of slump since this whole drama blew up, but all these kind words and messages have really put a smile on my face. Thank you so much everyone. I really do appreciate it. Stories number 11. Am I wrong for not wanting my son to be circumcised? So some context: I'm not circumcised, neither is any of my brothers or father. Me and my fiancée are expecting our son in September and she's adamant on circumcising him. I've been against it my whole life. BC I don't see a need for it. My parents taught me how to keep myself clean and I've tried to explain why I'm against it, but she's trying to force me to agree to it and what to do anymore without her threatening to keep him from me. Comments. Commenter 1. The fact she is so adamant about this as to threaten to take your son from you is concerning. NTA. Have her midwife talk to her about it. Commenter 2. In the UK, and Australia, it's damned near impossible nowadays to get a baby, child, or even adult circumcised unless there's a clear medical need for it. Even finding a private doctor to do it can be difficult unless it's for religious purposes. It's pretty in the same classification as female genital mutilation nowadays. If there's no medical need, then ask her why she wants to mutilate the baby. Commenter 3. NTA. Your wife is actively seeking to mutilate a child. She wants her first act as a mother to be cruel. She isn't okay. Commenter 4. 200 babies die from this barbaric ritual every year in the US. That alone should be enough to be against it. Tell her to watch a video of a circumcision as well. Commenter 5. I had to Google this. The number is 100, but holy cow. I had no idea this was more than one. It needs to stop. I cannot for the life of me understand why it started in the first place. Update. So after shower her my post and reading the 100s of comments, she's finally accepted that it's much wrong. She wanted me to be open-minded about it, but unless it's medically needed it won't be happening. Thank you to everyone who commented and the few who DM'd me videos and articles on it. Comments. Commenter 1. Since she doesn't, I assume, have a penis, she should listen to someone who does. I'm glad she's listening now. I'm American and I am appalled out how common circumcision is here. It's not done nearly as commonly in other parts of the world including Europe, and in most cases there's no medical reason for it. Commenter 2. This can go either way. My husband was originally pushing for a circumcision for our child, but I was absolutely adamant about not doing it and basically wrote a whole research paper to present to him. He folded. Person shrugging, light skin tone, female sign. Commenter 3. My ex-husband was the only one who wanted to get our son circumcised. I was completely against it, but he thought it would be super weird if our son wasn't because he was. When he found out it wasn't covered by OHIP, we live in Ontario, Canada, and cost a couple $100, he finally gave up trying to fight me on it. I was adamant that it was never happening regardless. Stories number 12. AITA for telling my partner I don't want his daughter living with us anymore. My 29F partner, 30M, has a 15-years-old daughter, let's call her Lila. She came to live with us about 6 years ago. My partner and I have 2 kids, 7F and 9 male. Ever since Lila moved in with us she has been very disrespectful to my kids and I. She would slam the door in my kids, ignore them when they talk to her, insult them, take their toys and much more things. My partner never did anything about it. She would steal my money, my cosmetic products, perfumes, makeup and any random thing you can think of. Again, my partner never did anything about it. She started to steal things from my partner, again with no consciences. She would constantly break my rules, be disrespectful to us, and lie with no consciences. My partner never did anything about it. When she was about 11 years old, I found an used vape in her drawer. I showed my partner who was in a work trip but he didn't do anything about it. Over the years we have multiple problems with her. She would be physically aggressive towards the kids, disrespectful towards me, slam doors at me, etc. but she never had any consequences. She stole my money multiple times, would interfere with my son's virtual classes and hit my daughter. Whenever I grounded her my partner would unground her. Fast forward to this year, she was caught smoking weed in class, while the teacher was lecturing and was suspended. We were contacted by multiple teachers regarding her poor academic performance and being disrespectful towards the teachers and admin staff. She often asked to visit a friend to braid her hair and would not come home until around 11 p.m. and with no braids in her head. I've asked him multiple times in the past few months what were his plans to discipline her, but his answers were always, she is not your daughter, none of your business, and, I'm glad she does that to you because you suck up to her too much. Every time I pointed out what I do for his daughter and how I treat her like she is my daughter and don't deserve to be treated that way, he just tells me, well, that happens to you because you are a sucker. Well, today I exploded. She had a friend home and brought food to her room so they could eat. One of my rules is no eating in the bedroom. I pointed it out to my partner and he said that it was because the food is for her friend. I asked him if the rules only apply to certain family members and he just walked away from me. I texted her and told her I wanted no food in the bedroom and she lied saying she had no food in there. She brought the plates to the room while both me and my partner were by the kitchen and saw her do it. That was the last straw. I texted my partner and said I wanted no more of her friends in the house and that if he could make Lila respect us and follow the rule and he needs to get her out of my house. He came to me and asked me to come to our room and we had an argument. He said I was just looking for excuses to kick Lila out of the house and I started to remind him all the things she has done the past 6 years and how he has handled it. He tried to come up with excuses to justify the behavior and I told him that what he did shows he doesn't respect me or the kids and that Lila is not the only one that need to leave the house. He walked away from me and has been in the kids' room ever since. We have not talked at all after that. I think Lila hurt us and has been giving me the side eye ever since that argument, but at this point I don't think I came anymore. I understand that she is his daughter and I might be asking a lot from him, but I have to protect my kids. Also, she is not my daughter and there is no reason for me to put up with that. I treated her like my daughter for years and all she has done is disrespect me, my kids and my house with no consequences. Let me also add that in the past 4 to 5 months my kids have started to raise their voices at us, talk back and other things that Lila does. When we discipline them they always ask Lila gets to do it with consequences but they can't and how unfair it is that they are not allowed to do any of the things she does. Edit. It clearly says that after he came up with excuses for the behavior my partner that Lily is not the only one that needs to leave the house. Meaning he needs to go as well. Edit 2, just to add more info. She has a mom. Mom lives overseas with her 2-year-old daughter. As far as we are aware mom never brought a man home, although she had partners over the years. Lila never had a stepdad. Lila's dad and I met in high school. At the time Lila was living with her mom overseas and she was about a year old when we started dating. Lila has always been aware of me. For as long as she can remember I've been around. We would talk on the phone and video calls. I would also send her gifts from time to time which she would always thank me for. When she arrived, the first few days were normal for a kid adjusting. Crying because she misses mom and friends. Not eating too much and not being too excited. COVID hit a few months after she came, so we were locked down together, which is when the problem started. They started mistreating the little ones who were only 2 and 4 at the time. The kids were being babysit by my friend/family member whenever my dad and I had to work. We would get multiple complaints about her not being kind to the babysitter or their family. She would go in the room to touch and take things from them, and she would be aggressive towards the kids there. To the point that nobody wanted to babysit her anymore. They would accept my kids but not her. She started demanding certain things to be cooked because she liked them better. I always told her I had no problem making the food that she likes, but she also needed to understand there were days I would cook different food that other family members liked and not just hers. She started to want the TV 24/7, and I would always tell her that TV time needed to be split equally with siblings until we were able to buy more TVs. When she came, I would help her study, showed her how to add/subtract. I helped her learn English. I convinced her dad to switch her to a better school since the public school around us sucks. I would make sure she had clothing and needs such as skin care, feminine pads, etc. I took her to her doctor's appointment, went to the parent-teachers conferences, celebrated her birthday and got her Christmas presents. When she was bullied in 6th grade, I stock up for her and made sure the school addressed the problem. Care for her when she was sick. And 2 months ago I took her to the ER because of complications with her period, and fought the doctor that wanted to send her home with painkillers, made sure she got an ultrasound and turns out she has PCOS. I took her to her OB appointment after that and got her all her medicine just for her to get angry at me when I reminded to take her medicine so her period situation improves. She was allowed to touch my thing but only when she asked for permission first, and once she was done she needed to return them. Even when I bought the same products for us, one for each, she would still sneak into my room and take them, use them and throw them away. She was allowed to play with any of my kids' toys, but she needed to return them when she was done, which she didn't like, and also would let my kids play with her toys. She would tell everybody that she hates me and her siblings but could never explain why. Before she came to live with us, her family warned us that she was trouble. She will steal her mom's alcohol and drink it with friends, she would choke her little cousins when she got angry, and so on. I found the vape in her drawer, a drawer she shared with the little one to put random things such as chargers, notepads, etc., when she was 10 years old. Who know how long she had been vaping for before that. Remember, she also started drinking when she was 8 to 9 before she even came to live with us. She was suspended in 7th and 8th grade for vaping in the school bathroom and hallways. Her dad pick and chooses when to parent her. When he actually parents, she does listens, but he doesn't parent any offer. We put a lock in my room and the little one's room years ago to prevent her from stealing. She used to share a room with my daughter until about 3 years ago when she got angry at my daughter opening the door to get clothes before she took a shower. My daughter was pushed against the door frame, which gave her the worst bump and bruise I have ever seen. My guess is that she had something she didn't want anybody to see. Lila is a teenager who will be an adult in less than 3 years. Her behavior right now is excused in her age and her dad's lack of parenting. But at this point, that is who she is, and she will not change no matter what anybody do. She was trouble before she even came to this house, and that is not on me. In less than 3 years she will be an adult who nobody will put up with, and she will have no excuse. And her dad and mom can deal with it at that point. Her dad is not innocent in any of this and will not be around for much longer, but he cannot blame me for this situation and accuse me of finding excuses to get rid of her when I have put up with both of them for 6 years. I will not be gaslight anymore or put Lila and her dad above my own children. She is broken and it is not my job to fix her. It's time for her mom and dad to pull their weight around here. By the way, I do have a great relationship with her mom, who has been by my side all this year and keeps telling Lila to stop acting this way and start appreciating me and her siblings a little more. Stories number 13. AITA for not making an effort to improve my relationship with my sister or caring if I get to know her unborn baby. I'm 23F, the second youngest of 6 kids. It goes Bran, 31M, Kat, 29F, Jax, 27M, Sam, 26M, me and Leo, 22M. My relationship with my brothers is solid. I'm closest with Leo and Jax but have a great relationship with all my brothers truly. But my relationship with my sister was always difficult to say the least. Kat has been clear since we were kids that she didn't mind having brothers but hated having a sister, and she took it out on me. When the rest of us wanted to play together she'd join in but ignore me. Whenever we split into teams she refused to be on mine. If we went anywhere and had to buddy up she'd cling to one of the boys and refuse to be mine. Our parents used to pay her and Bran extra allowance to take the rest of us to the park, and she'd completely ignore me and would tell Bran I was all his responsibility. Whenever one of our brothers needed help she'd offer, but if it was me she'd ignore a request for help. Vacations were so not fun because as the only girls we'd share a rook and she hated that. Our parents told her she did not get to treat me like some contagious disease and told her to be nice. That we didn't need to be close, but there was zero excuse for making disgusted faces or getting mad at me for existing. Our parents had her in therapy too, and for a brief period they tried to get us in family therapy with them. Whenever anyone would ask her what her problem was with me, she'd say she never wanted a sister. Bran used to tell her she was being a brat and hurting my feelings, but she told him straight that she didn't give a crap about my feelings. When I was bullied in middle school for not being as pretty as Kat, she actually looked so happy about it. That stuff started when she was like 18/19 and I was like December 13th. Even now saying that sounds so weird, but she loved that other people thought she was better looking than me. When she'd come home from college and stuff, she'd ignore me. She brought souvenirs for our parents and brothers but nothing for me. And come Christmas she only got them gifts. Come my birthday she never made the effort to call, send a card or nothing, but she made the effort for all our brothers' birthdays and our parents' birthdays. I wasn't invited to her wedding. That turned into a huge fight. I told the rest of our family I wouldn't like to go now anyway. There was a lot of discussion about whether they should go, and I told them it was okay if they did go and I didn't want them to regret not going on my behalf. They only went for the ceremony and our parents refused to give her any money toward her wedding. I know they're still glad they went despite the issues. Whenever I see her I still get the cold shoulder. Only now she's expecting her first kid and the baby's due in a month. I was invited to her shower, but that wasn't directly from her. I chose not to go or send anything. When my parents found out they told me it was a chance for me to try and improve the relationship so I could at least be in the baby's life. I said I don't need to be in the baby's life and they said I should want to. I told them that I didn't really, and that was honest. Maybe if Kat and I were a little closer, but I don't see her kids and I ever having much to do with each other. And I could see Kat poisoning them against me. Plus a one-sided effort is not worth much anyway. My parents think I should try before I give up. They say she's about to grow now that she's becoming a mom. Stories number 14. Aita for filing restraining orders on a pair of missionaries. TLDR, missionaries stopped by once a week for 2 months even though I told them to stop. They crash a barbecue of mine, so I filed a restraining order. My family and old church members have started to guilt me, saying they're just teens and doing what they traveled here to do, and it's kind of working. Am I being a pushover? I used to be, technically still am, a member of the LDS/Mormon Church. I've tried to get my records removed, but it's gone nowhere, and I still get members and missionaries showing up to my house, even when I moved. Well, in the past 2 months I have been visited once a week by the same pair of missionaries along with one of my male cousins. They can't visit a single lady unless another male is with them. I tell them each week to stop visiting and tell whichever cousin they bring that it's not welcome, necessary, or funny, and they really need to stop. Well, they came over last Saturday while I was having a barbecue with some friends and co-workers, and they just started mingling/preaching to my guests. I didn't even realize they were because I was on the grill, until one of my co-workers came up to me and basically complained about me inviting him to a barbecue as an excuse to get my church members to preach to him and his boyfriend. I had to apologize and explain to him the situation and promise it wasn't like that at all. I decided I was done. They didn't even try to find me, they just harassed my guests and came into my property uninvited, so I called the police. They showed and said they can ask them to leave but can't really do anything else since I didn't ask them to leave myself first. So I showed them my ring footage and how I've been asking them to stop coming to my house for 2 months, and they said I could file a restraining order for stalking but it might not go anywhere, so they walked me through the online forms and I have a hearing soon. Since then the church members have sent me emails, their youth have heart attacked my door/porch, and my LDS family have made FB posts about me being the literal devil. With the hearing getting closer I'm starting to feel nervous, and like maybe I've blown everything out of proportion. Like these missionaries are still teens, and maybe I should be redirecting my anger at my family who are probably the ones behind it. Aita, if I go through with the hearing. Edit. Well, it's been 2 hours and I think I've gotten enough advice and encouragement to help me. Thank you all. I will go to the hearing still. You are right, if they weren't missionaries I wouldn't even be questioning it. I will be messaging my co-workers and apologizing and letting them know about the RO hearing, and I will be going LC with my LDS family. And for those that asked, heart attacking is taping paper hearts with Book of Mormon and Bible quotes and little, I miss you, notes to people's front door windows, porches. I have also been told that it's literally love bombing, which I never noticed before. So that's cool. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, NTA, it boggles my mind these missionaries were oblivious to your repeated, stop visiting, please until the cops had to step in. Their utter disregard for boundaries is downright shocking, and I'm shocked they didn't get a timeout or detention for their juvenile behavior. Reply, yeah, me asking them the first 5 times should have been enough, uneasy face. Commenter 2, until one of my coworkers came up to me and basically complained about me inviting him to a barbecue as an excuse to get my church members to preach to him and his boyfriend. NTA, they could have gotten you fired. Go to the hearing. Reply, I didn't even think of that. Luckily he was cool about it after I explained the situation, but what if he didn't come to me and just left instead? That's making me really mad now that I think about it. Commenter 3, just because you think he was cool about it after your explanation, doesn't mean this incident didn't make him totally change his perception of you as a coworker and a person. And what about other coworkers who were just as upset but didn't say anything? I think you have deeply underestimated the lasting effect this will have on your relationship with your coworkers and your job. If I were one of your coworkers, this type of thing would have actually caused me to leave your barbecue and would have permanently damaged our working relationship. Reply, oh gosh, I didn't think about that either. There were a couple that didn't show up, but what if they did and saw the missionaries and just noped out? Commenter 3, and what about your non-LDS friends at the barbecue? They may have had an unpleasant experience, as well. You may have some repair work you need to do with them. Reply, a lot of them know I don't go to that church anymore and were there when the police showed up, so we were able to talk about it at the barbecue. I'm mostly worried about my coworkers. Commenter 4, NTA, you said to stop coming. They decided to push into your party to preach. Just because they're missionaries doesn't mean they get a free pass. If anyone else was doing this, showing up constantly and crashed your party, you'd have every right to call the cops and file for harassment. It doesn't change just because they're missionaries. They are old enough to know better. And like others said, they could have gotten you fired if your coworkers complained and thought you did it on purpose having them there. Reply, you're right, if this had been anyone else but missionaries I wouldn't see a problem with a restraining order. I need to rewire my brain so I stop seeing these volunteers as something special. Growing up in the church has probably given me a bias towards them. I didn't think leaving a church would be this much mental work. I'm constantly having to tell myself certain things are okay and certain things are not. OOP explains what heart attacked meant onto the porch. Reply, the taped hearts all over my front door, windows, and porch. They had writing on it with Book of Mormon and Bible verses, or little notes like, we miss you. Things like that. They left a plate of sugar cookies in the shape of hearts. Update. Hello, all I said that I wouldn't be logging in again, but these last 2 months have been very draining for me and I thought writing everything down and putting my feelings out might make me feel better. So here's an update. 2 days before the hearing, my uncle, who is also the ward bishop for the elders, showed up to my house with the missionaries. I took the advice on my post and only spoke with them through my Ring app. I told them if they didn't leave I would be called the police. One elder left to sit in the car and my uncle and the other elder stayed at my door. My uncle told me that I was being dramatic and that I'm too sensitive. That me, protecting my safe space, was going to ruin a young man's life. I told them that I put in a request for a RO and that they knew this and were still harass me. My uncle said they weren't going to leave until I came out and talked to them like an adult so we could solve this restraining order issue without the courts. I told them to leave again and I called the police when it was obvious they weren't going to. The cops showed up and trespassed my uncle and arrested the missionary that did not go to the car. I explained to them about the hearing that was going to happen and showed them my footage of them trying to get me to not go to the hearing. I felt really bad and I still do, and I know a lot of you are going to say I shouldn't but I do. I spent the 2 days after that getting calls and texts from people I love calling me all sorts of terrible things and telling me I'm a disappointment. The guy I've been talking to had to take my phone away from me and block everyone because he knew I wouldn't. I went to the hearing and was granted the RO for harassment. Then I had my mom and dad show up to my house the next day to give me a piece of their mind and now I hate myself. So that's great. I sent the paperwork to the mission president and asked to be put on the do not contact list like a commenter told me to do. I was told that the missionary that was arrested had his visa revoked so they are sending him back home early. I was basically told if anything happens to him before they can get him a flight home it's my fault. People have posted about me getting innocent men into trouble and wanting my own kind deported on social media. Even though he wasn't deported, his visa was just revoked. So I've had my house egged, rocks thrown at my windows, and ice bags left on my porch for the last month. Even some of my friends and co-workers who told me to go through with the RO are saying I went too far. But I didn't know he was here on a visa. As far as I know, he's back home and safe. But that's it, that's the update. My friends, family, and co-workers hates me and I hate myself too. But hey, at least I'm not minorly inconvenienced by missionaries and awkward 5 minutes conversations anymore. Top comments. Commenter 1, I'm so sorry this is happening to you. Leaving this cult is brave of you and you're doing everything right. I'm fucking proud of you. We support you. Do not back down. You got this. Commenter 2, no, stop that shit right fucking now. Your family are shit bags who don't deserve you and they weren't mildly inconveniencing you. They did this. Don't get despaired, get angry. Do something about this, god damn it. Anything. Commenter 3, he got his visa revoked. Sucks to be him. Maybe he shouldn't have harassed you in the first place. NTA. Commenter 4, my grandmother is part of the Mormon church, so I have some insight into the working/mentality of the church. There was some very similar persistent harassment going on when my mother married my father, who is very much not religious, and even she would be horrified by their escalating behavior. The only advice I can give you is to double down. Get security cameras up, collect evidence of the harassment/verbal abuse you're facing, and get police and a lawyer involved. This is abuse and religious beliefs does not excuse that. You didn't go too far, and you didn't do anything wrong. That man did this to himself, they all did. Fact is, they never would have stopped before you put your foot down. So don't bow your head or doubt yourself. Stories number 15. My boyfriend, M25, and I, F23, had an argument that is giving me red flags. Is it enough to leave our years-long relationship? Please advise. My boyfriend and I have been together for over 5 years and have lived together for 1.5 years now. For context, I was getting ready to go to a Halloween potluck with some of my girlfriends and their respective boyfriends. When I was getting ready, my BF began discussing the idea of a curfew with me, explaining that no woman should be out late because nothing good happens late into the night, and that I shouldn't be out till 3 a.m. I explained that I don't want to be out that long, but the idea of him putting a curfew on me made me uncomfortable. He told me that unless he is physically there with me, I, a female, shouldn't be out of the house late and at a party. I told him there is no need for him to be this controlling with me and that I was confused, since he had never done anything like this before. I go to social events pretty regularly, but rarely go to parties like this, maybe once every 3 months. He was also invited twice to come to this party with me and declined. I asked my BF why he's saying all this, and he said that, I have standards. These are my standards. If you don't like them, you don't have to live with me anymore. I'm not budging on this, and then explained that, now I expect you home at 1 a.m. because you're pissing me off, but I should be saying 11 p.m. This freaked me out. I packed a bag, left to my parents' house, and haven't been back since. I don't know what to do from here. I want to emphasize he's never done anything like this before, which really threw me off and hence why I'm asking for advice on an internet forum. I left the house crying and upset and my boyfriend hasn't reached out in over 72 hours to check in or initiate a chat. Ideally, I would like a conversation to be started by him, but I'm convinced my boyfriend has no shame for his actions and believes I am the one in the wrong. Please let me know what you, an unbiased random internet stranger, thinks about this situation. I love the relationship my BF and I have built together, but this seems like a huge red flag to me. TLDR, my boyfriend told me I need a curfew before going to a party without him. When I told him this made me uncomfortable, he tried to punish me by making the curfew more strict. I left the house upset and we haven't spoken in 72 hours, not sure what to do from here. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, it kind of sounds like he instigated this in order to cause a breakup. So after 5 years dating and 1.5 years living together he announces a new standard to force you to move out of his place. I assume this was his place and you moved in with him. Weird, and pretty rotten of him. I'm awfully sorry this is happening to you, but sounds like he dreamed this up to give you the boot. Reply, yes, his parents own the place but we both pay rent on it. Just not an official lease or anything. It genuinely didn't feel like he was trying to give me the boot, but more like he wasn't going to relent on this new standard of his, and that our place of living is something in his control, which is what he wanted in this situation. Commenter 2, I think he's got another girlfriend, and he's trying to make you break up with him so she can move in. Who is he hanging out with when he refuses to join you at a party? If he's not cheating, he's trying to break up so he doesn't have to get all those pesky. When are you going to marry her? Questions. But do leave this relationship. He's a dude. ETA, when he calls to see where you are, tell him, I've got standards, and you failed to meet them. Reply, he's definitely not cheating. 100% certainty. He's more introverted where parties and dressing up aren't his thing. Which is totally fine with me, but it feels like he wants me to be more like that when I'm not. Commenter 3, I'm going to deviate from the pattern here and ask, what sorts of media does he enjoy? Has he recently started listening to new podcasts or watching new creators on YouTube? To me, this sounds an awful lot like a recently radicalized tater tot or passport bro type guy. Reply, honestly, I have no idea. I think this is a great question to ask though and could contribute to why his actions are suddenly changing. OOP responds to a downvoted comment about the possibility of her boyfriend's anxiety. Reply, I totally agree with the anxiety thing. With what you were saying, this is why I would love to have a conversation with him, but I'm feeling like I'm in purgatory waiting for him to reach out. When we were talking during this conversation, I kept reassuring him that I would communicate where I was and when I would be coming home, but that I didn't have a set time on when that would be yet. I also said that sometimes people are out late and that I wouldn't leave because my boyfriend told me it's time I come home, and will be upset if I'm out past the time he said I have to be home. It makes sense to me if he didn't get sleep until he knew I was safe or something and communicated that, but that wasn't the message he was conveying to me here. Downvoted commenter. TBH, I think that once you move in with someone in a relationship it should be respected in both ways. I mean, it isn't a big deal. I think y'all should talk and let him know what your standards too. In a way he's probably doesn't want to be worried and whatnot. Does he go out and come back late? Reply. I feel like my standards are that I give him nothing but 100% loyalty, so when I want to go out with my girlfriends, he should have 100% trust in what I do. I'm also not gatekeeping any information about the outings to him, like he knows who I'm with, where I'm going, and I tell him when I'm heading home if he wants this info. I mentioned this to him and he just kept reiterating that my standards aren't that crazy. You shouldn't be out till, say, 3 a.m. We just kept going back and forth because I said from here, I don't want/plan to be out till 3 a.m., but the fact that you're telling me when I should be home, etc. is upsetting me because you should trust me. And then it just became a circular argument. As defensive as he was, I also was too. So the convo wasn't really going anywhere. Update. The argument from the post occurred on Saturday late afternoon. A few days later after I hadn't heard from M25. By Wednesday, I placed an order for a small U-Haul truck to move out the following Saturday, the soonest time my family could help, but I still hadn't heard from him. My family thought it best not to tell M25 that I was coming to pick up my belongings until the day of, because we were afraid he would destroy my things. M25 is an extreme minimalist, so all the furniture, decor, tools, etc., came 100% out of my pocket. At that point, I had thousands of dollars worth of belongings in there, and even more invaluable mementos. Anyways, Saturday comes around. Still hadn't heard anything on his end. I texted M25 that morning, telling him my parents were coming to remove my belongings and to please be out of the house while they did so. He texted me back, no stop telling me what to do. At this point, he knows they're coming and exactly when. For my safety, I stayed home. When my parents get there, my mother knocks on the door. No answer. Doorbell. No answer. I texted her to go into the garage and see if M25's vehicle is there. The garage opens, and he had thrown my belongings into the garage. Things were scattered about the garage floor. Whatever. They noted that his vehicle was there, though, so he must be inside. My family starts grabbing stuff from the floor and putting it into the truck. M25 comes out. My mother said he looked psychotic, almost. He doesn't do drugs and wasn't drinking for health reasons. But he looked off. When he came out, he made it very clear to my mother that he was holding a gun in his sweatpants pocket. He told them to get off his property. My mother asked him if he was alright. Remember, M25 and I had been together for a long time at this point. My family knows him well. This was all such strange behavior from him, and my mother was genuinely concerned. In response, he tells my mom, I'm fine. Why wouldn't I be? My mom asked if she could go inside and get the rest of my belongings. M25 says no. My mother reminds him that I have been without my essentials for a week now, medication, glasses/contacts, work badge, underpants, and asks to step inside for 5 minutes to retrieve those things. He agrees. My mother walks into the house and sees an AR-57 set up in the kitchen, ready to go. She immediately turned around, told everyone outside loading the truck to get in the car, and went home. I spent the next few hours trying to arrange a police escort for the rest of my belongings. In hindsight, we should have done it in the first place. As I was working with that, my mom called the homeowners, aka M25's parents, who live 2 to 3 hours away. We tell them everything up to this point, and they're distraught. They say they're on their way. We received a call from the parents later that evening stating that M25 is out of the house and being monitored back at their home. We moved everything out afterwards. I get a text from M25 that Sunday, where he essentially says that he didn't know I was breaking up with him. That he was waiting for me to reach out to him while he was reflecting on everything that happened, blah blah. We went back and forth a bit, where I was telling him that he threatened my family and that I couldn't forgive him. He said he wanted to talk about everything, and I told him I wasn't ready for that. I followed it up with a, you should work on yourself, and if I want to talk, I'll reach out, type of text. He responded with a bunch of okays and then, just don't fuck your ex, hate that guy. Heard really bad things about him. He's referring to himself here, since he's the only BF I've had. It was super strange and off-putting to receive a joking text like that when a few hours earlier he threatened my family with guns. I ignored him. He also sent an interesting apology to my mother. To me, it's a liability thing that his lawyer mother asked him to send. Highlights included, I know you felt threatened by what you saw, and, there is no excuse for having guns out while people are present at my house. Seeing a gun concealed or otherwise in that sort of situation is enough to shock someone, especially those unfamiliar with these weapons, and, my parents agree and have asked me to give, my guns, up until I am more responsible and careful. He texted me again the next day, saying, I know I've acted nonchalant about things, and it's not a good habit. I can't continue to live in limbo. I hope you will come over and talk to me in person. False hope is not doing me any good. I need to move on with my life. Where I responded, I do not want to give you false hope, but I'm not in a place of forgiveness. I think it's time that we continue to move on with our separate lives. This is when he responds with, listen, come talk to me. I feel awful that I used your own love for me as a lever against you. I hate the person who did that to you, and every day I try to bury that part of me. Lots to digest there. We exchanged a few more texts, and I, naively, agreed to have a conversation in person. I would not have it at the house. It would be during the day. And it would be in public. I now understand that I should never have entertained this idea in the first place. I was emotional and confused at that time. I had been with M25 for years at this point, and wanted clarity on what drove him to do this. I told him my availability to talk on a Thursday, and he said he wasn't sure if he was available but would let me know. I didn't hear back from him until Thursday at 8:15 p.m., when he asked, you still coming or no? A location hadn't been discussed. It was dark out. I suggested we meet the following morning. That's when he sends, 8:30 is late for you now, followed by, I said your curfew was 1 a.m., so you're good, and, just get your ass over here and talk, I am not going this 9 a.m. bullshit. Or I will put a scorpion in your bed. I responded and he texts back, I'm sorry, you're what? At this point, I was in a new safe place in location A. My mother was in location B, and my father was in location C. I had to call everyone and let them know M25 was going to show up at one of their locations, since he knows where they both live. He showed up at location C, where my father was. My father told me that he was scared for his safety and home. Luckily, nothing happened. M25 waited outside for a bit after texting me, here, and left. This whole night rattled me. I stayed up all night, scared he was going to show up at my mom's place next, or mine. I ignored his texts. He started to call. Left an eerily calm, cool, and collected voicemail wondering when we were going to chat. Saying that if I wanted to have that conversation, I, F23, am welcome to the house whenever. I texted him back, threatening a restraining order if he made contact again a month later. He texted, hey, obviously what happened. I'm sorry I made you feel unsafe. That's not who I am as a person or who I would want to be. I wish you the best in whatever you do, and that is the last I've heard from him. All of this could have played out way worse. I'm relieved for the safety of my family and my own. I'm fortunate enough to have gotten out when I did. And yes, I understand things could have been done differently on my end. I learned a lot about myself through this experience. I chose to text M25 in the no confrontational way I did for my safety. We live in a small community. I genuinely believe this man is dangerous and could harm my family, my dog, my friends, etc., if I angered him. We're all within a mile or two of each other, and he knows where to find all of them, and me, if he wanted to. I condensed some of the details for the sake of brevity in this post. I have screenshots of all the texts I quoted above. I'm happy to answer questions in the comments. TLDR, my ex-boyfriend, M25, ignored me for an entire week after a concerning argument where I sought advice on what to do. When I went to move out, he threatened my family with weapons. Fake apologies, nonchalant texts, and jokes followed this. When I didn't want to talk, he showed up at my father's house, where he thought he could find me. So, yes, the argument was enough to end a years-long relationship. Stories number 16. Aita for telling a woman that if my boyfriend did cheat on me with her, it becomes its own karma, because it is with her. There is this woman in our lives that is quite frankly mentally unstable. She is a massive attention seeker, and assumes that every man wants her and every woman wants to be her. She has on many occasions flirted with men that are in relationships, and on a few other occasions fully went in to try to make them cheat with her. It's really weird. She also thinks everyone else is the drama and out to get her. Yet the drama magically disappears when she leaves the room. Her latest stunt is with my boyfriend. We have been together for years, we live together, we shit together. We are solid. She attempted to get with my boyfriend, which didn't work out in her favor. I guess she is now trying to make me insecure about him wanting her. I keep shutting her down, but she persists. Yesterday she clamped down hard. She brought in one of her new friends that doesn't know her very well. They were very concerned as he couldn't keep his eyes off of her. He keeps flirting, asking her out. They just need me to know, girl to girl, that he loves her and wants to date her. Now I know my boyfriend, he is incredibly oblivious to the advances of a woman unless you spell it out for him. At any given time he is thinking about food and the gym. He is not smooth and masculine when he flirts. I also know what he is and isn't into in the bedroom. None of what she says lines up. I know she is not his type, and his opinions on her. I also trust him not to do that. I have put much better woman in front of that man before and he hasn't cracked. He would not be doing all that for her. So I told her that I don't actually care if he cheats on me with her. That if he wanted to I would actively encourage it, as she is so mentally ill that he would be actively sabotaging himself if he did so. It becomes its own karma without me having to do anything, as she is so awful a person. This has led to the shit storm of a century. She is blasting me on social media, and everyone hates me. I have had to go private and block so many people. Did I go too far here? Stories number 17. My boyfriend's sister told me she has feelings for me and I have no idea what to do. So this is a mess and I haven't told anyone about it yet. I've been dating my boyfriend, we've been together for almost 3 years, and I've always had a pretty chill relationship with his family. His younger sister, she's 29, I'm 34F, has always been super friendly, and honestly I thought we just got along really well. But last weekend, she came over to hang out while my boyfriend was working late and I don't know. Something felt off. She kept touching my arm, complimenting me more than usual, and then after a couple drinks, she just came out and said it. That she's had feelings for me for a while and thinks we'd be perfect together in another life or something. I just froze. I kinda laughed it off because I didn't know what else to do and changed the topic. But now I feel weird around her and I don't know if I should tell my boyfriend. I don't want to make things awkward with his family or start drama, but I also feel like I'm keeping a secret that could blow up later. She hasn't texted me since, but I can't stop thinking about it. What do I even say? Do I bring it up with him? Or just let it go and hope it never happens again? Relevant comments. Downvoted commenter, can you please explain how you feel that this secret might blow up later on if you keep it to yourself? The simple solution here, it seems to me, is to simply let this pass. If it comes up again, tell this person that you are not interested in women, and that you are in a committed, monogamous and satisfying relationship with your boyfriend. If the issue does not come up again, and you never hear from her about this again, then there's probably no need for you to inform your boyfriend about this. Reply, I don't have feelings for anyone except my BF. I am worried about future relationship. Commenter 1, talk to your boyfriend and let him know about it and how it happened so it doesn't bite you in the arse later, but other than that, do nothing and let it go. Reply, I'll do it. Commenter 2, come on. That is disrespectful as hell. You have to tell your partner ASAP. You not telling him is another betrayal for him. He deserves to know that his sister can't be trusted. Reply, yes, I am going to tell him. Commenter 3, was she just being funny or was she hitting on you? If the sister is sarcastic and silly, your boyfriend might just laugh it off. He knows his sister very well. He knows how she is and it's a joke. If you think she was flirting with you, then he may still laugh it off, but at least he'll tell her to take a step back. Reply, I wish it was funny and sarcastic, but what if it wasn't? Update, I talked to my boyfriend about it. I was super nervous, but I just couldn't keep it bottled up any longer. I told him what his sister said and how weird I'd been feeling since. His reaction? Honestly kinda surprising. He stayed calm and said something like, yeah, she might just be messing around or testing you. He didn't seem shocked at all, more like he was trying to figure out if this was serious or just her being her. Then he went and talked to her. Calmly. And later, the three of us sat down together, my heart was pounding the entire time, and they both just laughed a lot. Apparently, she was just testing me. Like, as some kind of weird joke or whatever. I wasn't exactly amused. I got kinda mad. Told them both that this was really not cool. I mean, who does that? She apologized, and to be fair, she said some really sweet things about me. Said she thinks I'm great for her brother, that she respects our relationship, and that no, she absolutely doesn't have feelings for me. She said she has a boyfriend and she's not even into women like that. I told them both, straight up, not to ever pull something like that again. Like, ever. So yeah, weird week still processing. Thanks for all the advice, seriously. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, and what other things will they feel a need to test you about? Personally, this would be a very red flag and a deal breaker. I'm not going to tolerate these kinds of tests. Reply, this is the first time I felt this. Commenter 2, you know. The fact that he was so calm about the whole thing and the fact that he mentioned maybe the sister was testing OP makes me wonder if the two of them didn't cook this little scheme up together. Reply, the next day after the final conversation he had a very deep talk with me on this. He clarified he didn't know anything and said that just for knowing everything and handling the situation. I felt relieved after that. Commenter 3, they opened Pandora's box, or more specifically she did. You will never truly know if she meant it or not. She might have just tried to cover her ass with her brother. This might be in your head for ages every time you interact with her, because rationally, that test made no sense. Commenter 4, oh, she was testing you. But not in the way it's been made out. She was absolutely testing waters and coming on to you, but when it didn't pan out she pulled the LOL I was kidding. See, we're all laughing at how hilarious and quirky I am. Stories number 18. Aita for telling my GF she needs to pay rent for her kids. So backstory, my M34 and girlfriend, 32F, have been dating for 2.5 years and living together for about 13 months. We moved to a different state for her to go to college. So we both had to get new jobs. I found one off the bat. She took a couple months to find something. So I started paying for everything. Eventually she came around and started paying for groceries. But she doesn't have money for anything else. She does have a couple of kids. So she has them full time and the father doesn't pay any child support. I mean, I make pretty good money, but I don't feel I should be paying for everything. Plus she decided not to go to college anymore. Anyway, we were out to dinner the other night and I forget exactly how the topic came up, but it had to do with her kids. I guess I was giving advice when that wasn't my intention. I thought we were just talking about issues. Anyway, she proceeded to tell me how I'm not a parent and I have no room to talk and that I need to leave the parenting to her. So I told her that if that's the case she should pay rent for her kids then. We have a 3-bedroom unit and while we are both on the lease I'm paying for it. I told her it would be about $900 a month on account of that's about $475 per room. Obviously she was angry. Eventually we got past that, but I started thinking maybe I was out of line. So was ITAH. Stories number 19. Girlfriend, 27F, got massive tattoo for me, 31M. I've been with my girlfriend for almost a year. I've always made sure she knew that I wanted to take things very slow and I didn't want anything too serious right now. I've only been divorced for a year and I have primary custody of my kids, 2 and 4, so they are and have always been my priority. I can't stress how clear I was about keeping our relationship casual. Anyways, I have a lot of tattoos. I won't pretend like they're all super meaningful, but most of the bigger pieces are related to my hobbies, friends, family, random shit I'm into. My girlfriend only had the tiniest tattoo on her ankle. I was away last week doing the Vegas bachelor party / road trip thing and she texts me that she has a surprise for me and sends me a pic of the tattoo. It is a tree that starts at where S meets leg, not sure of the name for that, and ending on the back of her neck. The branches have shitty tattoos that are copies of many of mine. A few in particular piss me off. One is a copy of a tattoo my buddies and I got done to commemorate a friend that died. Another is very similar to one of mine that was inspired by a drawing my kid did. I showed it to my friends and they all think she is fucking crazy. Her explanation is just that she liked my tattoos so she wanted to get similar ones but in her own design, and she did it to honor me. She said she got it for me. She went to a shitty artist so it looks pretty bad and the design isn't too great in itself, which I think defeats the purpose of honoring someone, and they mean literally nothing to her. Between her copying my tattoos and having a genuinely shitty tattoo covering her entire backside, I really don't find her sexy anymore. It is a huge mood killer. She was my dream girl in bed, so without that there isn't much left. I'm starting to consider just breaking up with her because what she did seems so insane. On the other hand, we've been dating for almost a year and I am really into her, and she now has this giant tattoo that's honoring me, so breaking up would suck. Opinions? TLDR, girlfriend got huge back piece that is a copy of many of my tattoos in an attempt to honor me, but I just find it to be a big turn off. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. She is crazy. That is so completely fucking insane. I would run far. If she got a tattoo to commemorate something special between you two, meh. But to copy your tattoos? Batshit crazy. And ones that were so personal to a life before her. Reply, I haven't explained what they all mean to her so she might not know that the one tattoo is commemorating my friend but still, it's pretty crazy right? Commenter 2, it's even crazier that she doesn't know the meaning of them. It's like she just wants to wear your skin. Commenter 3, I had to check that I wasn't on no sleep. This made me shudder. OP, run. Hold on to your skin. Commenter 4, did she do all this off of memory? 8 hours isn't a drunken tattoo mistake. Was this maybe planned? Did she take pictures of all your tattoos? It is weird that 1, her friends and 2, the tattoo artist did not say anything. Reply, I'm guessing it's based off pictures. Newer or shitty artists don't seem to care what they tattoo as long as they get paid. Commenter 5, she got a detailed butt-to-neck tattoo finished in one sitting. I won't lie, I'm kind of impressed. She sounds nuts though and you don't talk about any of her good qualities other than being your dream girl in bed, so dump away I guess. Reply, it's not done yet but yeah, she sat there for 8 hours getting this shitty tattoo. She does have really good qualities but I never saw her as future wife material you know. Commenter 6, if you never saw her as future wife material in the first place then why is this even an issue? Just break up with her and move on. Why do you need the validation of strangers to convince you to do something it seems you already know you want to do? Reply, 2 reasons, one is that despite not wanting to get married right away I was still really into her and this came out of left field and the other is if I do break up with her, she's probably going to feel pretty bad now that she has the giant tattoo on her back. Commenter 7, as harsh as it may sound, the tattoo really isn't your problem. That was a crazy thing to do and you are in no way responsible for all the negative fallout she will suffer because of it. When told to just let his GF live with a bad decision tattoo, it would also give me peace of mind that someone out there doesn't have the same tribute tattoo my buddies and I have for a friend that passed. Granted, she removed the text so it doesn't mean much without it but still I'd rather that not be on her. Update. First post was removed but it was about how my girlfriend got a tattoo of a tree and on the branches were copies of some of my tattoos, a couple that were very personal, memorial piece for a friend and drawing by my kid. I thought I had been very clear about not wanting anything serious. Quick update. We broke up. I tried to stick it out but the tattoo was too much of a turn off and I just didn't find her attractive anymore, which is the opposite of what she had intended with it. The breakup went about as expected, she completely lost it and yes, she was mad because she thought it would lead to something more serious eventually. My artist agreed to finish the piece for her and he will cover up the bits that match my tattoos. It should be very easy since there wasn't any shading yet. I'm glad she agreed to see him because now her tattoo has a chance of looking decent and I can be certain that it will be properly covered up. I tried to get her to explain to me why she thought it was a good idea but all she kept saying was that she truly believed I would like it and she thought it would help move our relationship to the next level. I told her she should see a therapist and she told me to fuck off. So there you have it. TLDR, we broke up and she's getting the pieces that match mine covered with more leaves. Final comments. Commenter 1, I told her she should see a therapist and she told me to fuck off. Well, shit. Clearly the tattoo wasn't thought through very well. Now she has a permanent reminder to never do something that grand again without proper self and peer consultation. I think this worked out well for you. Reply, hopefully she's learned, that was a big mistake to make. Commenter 2, and a costly one I am guessing. Reply, I'm paying for the cover up, figured it's the least I could do. Commenter 3, you must really care about tattoos looking not shitty. Kudos. Reply, it's not so much that, although it does bother me. Her having the tattoo that my friends and I all have to commemorate our friend that died bothers me a lot. She got it for all the wrong reasons and didn't even know what it meant. I just want to know that it's covered up. And the kids drawing one just creeps me out. Commenter 4, did she know the meanings of them? Reply, well she knew that the drawing by my kids was what it is. It's obvious a 4-year-old drew it. She didn't copy that tattoo exactly, but used his same art style for a tattoo of her and her dog. I don't think she knew that the one was a memorial for my friend but either way, it has a skateboard in it and she doesn't skate at all. Just weird that she copied it. One of the ones she copied is so stupid, I got it when I was 16 and think it's funny now because of how stupid it is and now she has it on her. OOP when asked just how huge was that tattoo, it went from ass to neck diagonally across her entire back. Just the outline because she only did one session. It included a memorial piece for a friend that died and a copy of my kid's drawing. It wasn't very well done either. Stories number 20. AITA for not telling a woman she was about to sit and poop. I, 26M, was at a crowded park recently where there were food trucks set up and people sitting around eating. Seating was pretty limited, and most people were sitting on this low concrete wall that runs along the edge of a parking lot. On the other side of the wall is a grassy area that's level with the top of the wall, so people sit with their backs toward the grass and legs facing the lot. I had just gotten my food when I noticed the only free spot left. At the same time, I saw a girl, well dressed for the park, also walking toward it. She saw it first and was headed that way, but I was closer and got there before her despite her running when she saw me approaching it. As I got to it, I looked down at the grass behind the wall and saw a big pile of dog poop right where someone's lower back or clothes would land if they leaned or sat back. It was pretty gross, and I decided not to sit. Right then, she walked up and looked annoyed, saying, "Seriously?" I was going to sit there. I didn't want to make a thing of it, so I just stepped aside and said, "Go ahead, you can have it." She immediately sat down without checking behind her and just a second later jumped up with a disgusted look on her face. The poop was stuck to the back of her skirt. She turned to me and snapped, "Why didn't you say anything?" I told her, "I saw it, yeah, but I didn't know how you were planning to sit. For all I knew you were just going to perch on the edge or sit upright. It's a park, people walk their dogs here. You've got to check before sitting down." She kept insisting I should have warned her, but I told her I wasn't trying to be petty. I genuinely didn't know how far back she was going to lean or sit, and it wasn't really my responsibility to check the ground for her. She could have sat only on the wall and not on the grass and would have been fine. She eventually walked off frustrated, but now I'm wondering if I should have just said something anyway. But I feel like especially since she was so confrontational about the spot it wasn't really necessary. Stories number 21. My wife is addicted to the gym and it's ruining our marriage. My wife, 30F, has always been fit but has been increasingly passionate about working out over the last 1.5 years, returning to a gym she had previously left due to her busy schedule. The gym slowly started taking over her schedule, both weekend days, and every weekday pre- and post-work. Going to the gym becomes the solution for any stress, fights, crisis. Everything is gym to the point where if wife misses a session, it affects her mood negatively, as OP says, like a junkie not getting her fix. As wife is now 4mo pregnant, OP expresses concern over the intensity of her workouts and also that he simply misses her, given all her time is now taken up by gym. They can't work out together, because gym is her time. She won't work out at his gym either. Gym becomes a form of escapism from real life, a compulsion, essentially, and no problems wife is running away from ever really get solved because gym is simply not the solution wife seems to think it is. Gym has become so prevalent that family members, friends start making comments on how much time wife and gym spend together. Update February 11, 2024. OP shares that he had originally laughed over comments on his post that speculated about infidelity, but quickly came to discover they were correct. Wife has been sleeping with guy from gym, who she had mentioned to OP countless times as a gym friend. There is confrontation, OP breaks wife's phone, wife hits OP leaves for a short period of time and returns to wife, who, though remorseful, will not admit to exactly what infidelities she's committed. Update 1 ends with OP feeling guilt for his rage, left with zero answers as to exactly what's going on with wife. Update 2, my wife admitted to an affair. And wife admits to an affair. She felt bad about it, but not bad enough to not sleep with guy from gym pretty quickly. She might even be in love with him, she doesn't know, or won't say. And oh, there's a chance the child she's currently pregnant with might not be OP's. She'll get a paternity test though. Stellar work, wife. My wife is moving in with her AP, they're in love. Guy from gym and wife, who will still be referred to as wife for now, are moving in together. She's not getting the paternity test. OP expresses sadness for her, that she just can't be alone, or seem to work through her mess on her own. Wife had been with OP since she was 20, and OP theorizes she is codependent. Guy from gym allegedly doesn't care if the baby isn't his, he's happy to play house with OP's wife. My wife has agreed to a paternity test. Shocker, guy from gym wants a paternity test, so a paternity test they will get. In follow-up comments, OP reveals the results say he is in fact the father. An update on my wife's affair and pregnancy. OP is now conflicted. He has gone from excited to be a father, to not being sure he's going to be a father at all, to now knowing he will be the father of a child born into the disaster that wife has created. There is a small but non-physical confrontation between OP and guy from gym when wife brings him to OP's house to gather things she needs, and OP tells guy from gym to leave or he's gonna punch him. OP and wife have private words upstairs. Wife is just so in love with guy from gym, she can't help it. Predictably, confrontation becomes physical when OP returns to his living room to see guy from gym still standing there despite the warning, and so OP follows through and cold clocks him. Update 5 closes with OP and wife still legally married, but wife dedicated to living with and loving guy from gym. Another installment of the implosion, which is my marriage. OP's wife is still pregnant 26 weeks. OP and wife have agreed that he will be the one in the delivery room when the baby is born, and guy from gym will not be present. Guy from gym has a big problem with this, of course, because having an affair with and housing another man's pregnant wife simply would not be enough. OP prepares to sell the marital house and split the profit. He gets to keep their dog, thank God. Wife's sister shares with OP that wife is already complaining about guy from gym, that he's selfish, hangs out away from home too much, etc., birds of a feather and whatnot. OP ends the update expressing that he is at least happy his, soon-to-be ex-wife is miserable. I'm still alive. OP shares an update following a viral post about his failing marriage, clarifying that he is not suicidal and is coping better emotionally. Overwhelmed by online attention, he took a step back from discussing his wife's affair and their impending divorce. As he prepares for the birth of his child, he has made progress on the nursery and begun removing his wife's belongings. Despite lingering resentment, he remains civil during interactions and concerned about the safety of the environment his child will enter, as the child is expected to live with his wife and her new partner. While still emotionally affected, he is adjusting to a new phase in his life. I'm a dad. OP shares the emotional experience of his daughter's early birth, navigating the discomfort of being present at his ex-wife's labor in her new partner's home. Despite the tension, she asked him to be there for support, and he stayed through the awkward dynamic with the doctors and nurses until her partner returned and dismissed him. Later, he was invited to the hospital and allowed in the delivery room, where he focused solely on the birth and his daughter, despite feeling humiliated and sidelined. Though it pains him to see the other man holding and posting about his child, he remains determined to be present, cooperative, and committed to fatherhood, even if it means pretending to get along for his daughter's sake. Life update. OP checks in after doing home repairs, single parenting, and emotional whiplash from his ex. A busted water pipe forced him out of his house, adding stress to an already strained paternity leave. He's been splitting time with his newborn daughter, helping his ex during the day while navigating a messy co-parenting dynamic. A long walk with the baby turned into a breakdown, with his ex sobbing about feeling homeless, regretting their separation, and saying she wants to come back, but also claiming she still loves her boyfriend and doesn't want to hurt him. OP, frustrated, told her to prioritize their child and stop avoiding the truth. Despite the emotional exchange, nothing has changed. She's overwhelmed, paralyzed by indecision, and OP feels forced to tolerate her boyfriend, dealing with unresolved tension, and trying to stay grounded for his daughter, even as everything else remains in limbo. My wife has moved home for now. OP reflects on the month, marked by his return home, a brief but awkward sexual encounter with a friend, and the unexpected decision to let his ex-wife move back in for the sake of their daughter. Despite his skepticism and emotional reservations, he agreed, only to witness a dramatic scene at her partner's house where she abruptly left him, leading to further tension when the man later showed up at the narrator's home making vulgar accusations. Now living under the same roof again, the ex-wife claims she wants to prove herself and rebuild their relationship, but the OP knows it far too late and is driven more by hope for his daughter than genuine reconciliation. New update. I found out that my husband has been posting all about me and our marriage on Reddit for months without telling me. I found out that my husband has been posting all about me and our marriage on Reddit for months without telling me. Someone I'm friends with sent me a link to a TikTok where somebody was reading a Reddit post and asked if the story was about me. I thought that was ridiculous, but then I watched it and eventually found the posts on Reddit and they're about me. I love how he paints himself as such a great guy and me as a vain, unstable, abusive psycho. As if he hasn't been gaslighting me, not to mention how he lured me back home and made me think he wanted to work on our marriage, only to serve me with divorce papers after I rejected a man who actually loves me and wants to be with me. He did that on purpose to hurt me. That was his plan all along, but he comes here and pretends like he was just so torn about what to do. The most recent things he said make me look crazy and I'm like an unsafe mom to our daughter. Yes, I threw water on him. He served me with divorce papers and I was mad. Then I told him I needed to be alone for a little bit and he wouldn't let me be alone, so that's why I ran out of the house without pants or shoes. We don't have any doors that lock in our house and I just wanted to be alone because I was so enraged by what he did. He wouldn't leave me alone, so I had to leave the house. I did not go to the other man's house. I parked my car around the corner and just sat there and cried. I was not crazy and I was not a danger to anyone. Let's see, why did I start going to the gym so often? I didn't like being around him. We were arguing a lot. Nothing I did was ever good enough. I didn't clean well enough, didn't cook well, neither did he. I was depressed. I had no friends and live hundreds of miles away from my family for him. I was overwhelmed with my job. I basically worked the job of at least 2 people. If I worked 80 hours a week I still wouldn't have enough time to get all my tasks done and do a good job on them, but I can't afford to quit my job and I don't think I could find another job making the same amount of money. He also used to be gone for very long periods of time for his job, including times when I had COVID and when I had more serious health scares, and the first thing he would do when he got home was 1. Want sex, and 2. Complain about how messy the house was and how I did nothing when he was gone. He also felt his job was more important than mine and constantly reminded me of the fact. He also started drinking too much at one point, and he punched holes in multiple walls of our home during arguments. I never knew if he'd be drunk or not when I got home from work, and he's really annoying to be around when he's drunk. He'd lie to me about how much he drank, like I was an idiot who couldn't tell when he was hammered. He made me feel crazy. I didn't like being home anymore. Didn't like coming home after work, but didn't want to be at work. Had no family and friends to go to. So I decided to start focusing on myself. I had always been into fitness and working out, but in my depression I had fallen out of it a bit. I started going to the gym again, and it provided me a place to go to not have to be at home, and it made me feel good about myself. I eventually made friends with a group of people there. I knew the man who eventually became my affair partner for many months before anything happened between us. We didn't talk much, just said hello when we'd see each other and maybe have some small talk, but not much. I didn't wear my wedding ring when at the gym. It wasn't because I was trying to cheat. My hands get sweaty and my ring tends to turn inward and would get in the way. It's not that unusual to not wear your jewelry when working out and using weights and various machines. He and I hadn't talked much, so he didn't know I was married when he started flirting with me or when he asked me for my phone number. I knew it was wrong. I had to think about it for a little while before I agreed to go out with him. We weren't just fucking in the locker room. That happened, but it was more than that. We went out on dates. I said yes because he made me feel good. He was attractive physically and had a really great personality and was funny and nice. I liked the attention. I'm guilty of that. I decided to cheat on my husband, consciously, because this other guy made me feel great, happy, excited, all the things. I did feel guilt about it, but I kept doing it anyway because at the end of the day I was so desperate to feel happy, and I suppose I sort of became addicted to the whole thing. I should have divorced my husband, but a few months after the affair started I found out I was pregnant, and that made everything way more complicated. We weren't trying for a baby. My husband wanted one, but I said no every time he brought it up. I wanted a baby in my ideal dream world, but in reality I didn't think I would ever really have one. My marriage was not good and I was unhappy. I didn't think I was ready to be a mom, and I might never be ready. I was excited when I found out though. I felt like it was the universe's way of telling me I was supposed to have a baby and be a mom, since I couldn't make up my mind about it. I planned to end the affair. I knew my husband would be a good dad, most likely. I just had a hard time ending the affair. I loved the other man I was with and he loved me. Eventually I told him I was pregnant and he begged me to leave my husband and told me he didn't care who the bio father was. He isn't a shallow sociopath. He's a nice guy, really close with his family, has tons of friends. Everyone loves him. Yes, he was blessed with good looks and he has one of those personalities that just makes him super popular, especially with women, but he's not pretentious or full of himself. My husband actually has the bigger ego and is way more full of himself. I don't know how to handle conflict. I run away from things sometimes. My parents were the type who argued all the time and they never taught me good conflict resolution skills. There were other issues growing up, but I don't want to share those here. I would not abandon my baby and I would never put her in harm's way. I'm probably not a great wife, but don't be fooled into thinking my husband is the world's most perfect husband. Marrying him is the worst mistake I've ever made. One of the only things I agree with that he said here is that we were younger and stupid when we got together. My wife's posts. My wife has found my posts. She's commented on my most recent post and I've deleted her comments and blocked her. She's also made a post on True off my chest. Thanks to everyone who messaged me to alert me to if she had already confronted me about it in real life. I think she was disappointed that I didn't engage with her here, so she came up to me and told me to fuck myself and started yelling, "Who does that?" over and over in my face. She is also posting lies about me, including stories about me raping her, punching holes in the walls of our home, having a drinking problem, and physically abusing her. None of that is true. She spent this weekend begging me to reconsider the divorce and trying to convince me in any way that she can. I haven't budged. I've started to sort of ignore her. She can't stand to be ignored. So now she is here posting lies and multiple people are messaging me to ask if any of it is true. I've never physically hurt my wife, punched holes in walls, or had a drinking problem. While I was drinking more than normal in the immediate fallout after I discovered her affair and she moved in with her affair partner, I did not have a problem and I wasn't abusive. If she wants to accuse me of these things, she can accuse me in court and they can investigate. They'll find no evidence of patched walls or anyone in my life who could ever attest to me being an alcoholic. She has an obsession with this idea of me being an alcoholic, which stems from a history of that sort of problem in her household growing up. She routinely would come home from work and accuse me of drinking and tear our house apart looking for the supposed hidden alcohol I had stashed. Guess what? She never found anything. She even bought a breathalyzer and tried to force me to blow into it multiple times a day. This is trauma she has. I was not a perfect husband. I could have done many things better or differently. We did argue. I did yell sometimes. I was also away from home for long periods of time when she needed me and I didn't take it seriously. I may be accused of being callous or cold at times and she probably wouldn't be wrong about that. But the things she's saying on here are not true whatsoever. Please do not engage with her here. I'm fine, not much of an update. Many people have contacted me to make sure I'm okay. I'm fine, the baby's fine, and even my wife is fine. I mean, fine is relative. What I mean is that we're all safe and alive, despite the posts my wife keeps making. She's moved back in with her affair partner. I came home from work and all her stuff was gone. He finally decided to take her back. He wasn't going to initially, and he was trying to convince her to let him help her find an apartment, but she can't be on her own. She's told him that I'm an abusive drunk, so I think he felt he had no choice but to save her from me. Hey, the one good thing about it is that he's no longer acting all buddy-buddy trying to be my friend. I'm sure they're now reading anything new I post here, but there's really nothing I'm going to say that they can use against me. It's all really depressing and sometimes you just have to laugh at it all to keep from crying. There's nothing much to share right now, but I'm sure at some point in the future I'll be able to share a lot more. I'm married to a jerk and nobody believes me. I was really frustrated that nobody believed anything I said, and coupled with the nasty, hurtful messages I was receiving, I just deleted it all last time. I didn't share this full truth. I only tried to defend my actions without sharing the full story. I'm feeling very upset right now and have been crying for the past 2 hours. I've decided to come here and post the full truth, whether anyone believes me or not. I'm posting here for me, not to argue with him. He hasn't posted since he found out that I discovered his posts, but I'm sure he's checking here every day. He isn't the person he portrays himself to be here. He's not 100% bad. He has some good qualities, and I can say that because sometimes I've had to focus really hard on those good qualities to rationalize our relationship. The truth is that I really have to think hard to remember what these good qualities are. I used to like him a lot more. He was different when we met. He's changed a lot, and I don't know if it's his drinking or possibly some sort of health condition. He has a drinking problem, which he denies. He didn't really drink when we met, but then he started drinking a little later on, like post-college age, and he lost control of it. It didn't affect his job or paying bills, so that's his reasoning that he doesn't really have a problem. But when you say you won't drink but then you do, when you hide alcohol bottles and cans all over the house, when you deny drinking when you're clearly under the influence, when your mood changes rapidly and unpredictably and you yell at your spouse and damage walls when you're drunk and don't even act ashamed of your behavior the next day, when your wife dreads coming home every day because she doesn't know if you'll be drinking or sober, you have a problem regardless of whether you're able to stay sober all day at work. That's great. So you cannot drink for work, but I have to live in a nightmare almost every day. He's also very lazy. On our days off he'll literally sit around playing on his phone and binge watching TV all day long. Yet he yells at me because the kitchen's a mess, the dishes aren't done, the bathroom is a disaster. When I give him one routine task to do, he whines and complains and doesn't do it well, and it feels like it's all in an attempt to get out of having to do that chore anymore. He never does yard work, home repairs, grocery shopping, or meal prep. Oh, he will order groceries, but only for delivery via an app where he's obviously spending loads more than if he'd just take his lazy ass to the store. He never washes his car or does any vehicle upkeep. I have to force him to go get an oil change, and I'm the one who has actually done maintenance on our vehicles with my own 2 hands and figured things out with online tutorials. He doesn't help or even offer. He's terrible with money. He gets money and he has to spend it. We have no savings. He buys so many useless things. He has a huge ego and thinks he's a 9/10 when he's definitely not. Even if he was a 9 out of 10 physically, his personality would ruin it. He also lied when he told everyone online that my sister told him that I confided in her about my boyfriend not doing kind things for me and being selfish in bed, unlike my husband. My husband has never gone outside and warmed my car up for me. He's never cleared the snow off of it. He never offers to do anything kind just for the sake of it for me. He's offered to give me a massage a few times, and he knows I love massages, but then he always tries to pressure me for sex afterward. Oh, and the sex. The sex isn't great. I don't enjoy having sex with him. What woman would enjoy having sex with a man who acts the way he does? You actually have to be attracted to somebody to desire to have sex with them and to get turned on. He was also unemployed for several years while I supported us. Our first house was in my name alone because he didn't have a job at the time. It was so embarrassing. I agreed to move with him to where his family lives, even though I didn't want to. I felt like I had no choice. He tried working with his family, but because he's so stubborn and can't take directions from anyone, he ended up getting into fights with his brother all the time, and it was horrible. So that didn't work out. Then he got a job at the company I worked for. After about a year he got fired from that job. It was so embarrassing for me that I quit, even though I was doing well there. He got a different job, which he still has now. We bought a house. This time, his name is on the mortgage. We qualified for more and with a better rate without my name on the mortgage, since my finances were in the gutter after supporting both of us for a few years while he didn't work. Both of our names are on the title. When we get into arguments he says it's his house and swears I blackmailed him into putting my name on the title when I did no such thing. I was very disappointed when I found out he was the father of my baby. That's one reason I didn't want to take a paternity test. I knew he was the father but was holding out hope that maybe he wasn't. There's a reason I never got pregnant by him on purpose. Yet, I convinced myself that he was going to be a good dad. I felt guilty about what I'd done by cheating, even though I hated him. I developed a very codependent relationship with him, and it's all very hard to explain to someone who hasn't experienced any of this. I spent a huge chunk of my time denying how bad things really were, rationalizing my love for him, convincing myself I was attracted to him, reminding myself about all the reasons he wasn't so bad and why it was easier to just stay together. There were some good times, and I'd cling to those, and I made myself so confused about it all. He was also gaslighting me constantly, so mentally I was a mess when it came to me and him and our relationship. I still am, but I feel like I've reached a breaking point. I've lost touch with most friends and family. I have virtually nobody. I didn't tell anyone about any of these things. I couldn't even bring myself to openly state most of these things in the first post I made here because I still wanted to keep up a facade. It's all very embarrassing to me. My boyfriend, aka my affair partner, knows all of the details now. He only knew a small fraction of it before. I couldn't even bring myself to tell him. I hate the way it makes me feel about myself. I don't like feeling weak or for people to feel sorry for me. I know that people can't understand why I'd go back to my soon-to-be ex-husband or why I'd be upset that he filed for divorce. I can't fully understand or explain it myself. He's been practically the only consistent person in my life for a decade, and I've been with him for basically my entire adult life. Like I said before, mentally I'm such a mess. I'm a mess as a human being and not happy with who I am now at all. I do believe I have mental health issues. I have never sought help for them, but that's mainly because I knew I'd have to divulge everything about my marriage and I wasn't ready to do that. I want to be a better person, a healthier person. Physically I'm very healthy, and I sort of threw myself into that as a distraction. I kept telling myself that when I reached certain fitness goals I'd finally file for divorce. This was before I even got pregnant. I'd reach the goal and then chicken out on the divorce, so I'd set the benchmark higher. Mentally I'm not healthy at all. I'm not a danger to myself or to others. I don't feel that way. I just know that mentally I've really deteriorated in this relationship. I should have divorced before starting a new relationship. I wanted to divorce, but I was so scared. I couldn't afford to live on my own, and I didn't really know what to do without him there, even though I also hated being around him most of the time and avoided being home as much as I could. I didn't intentionally plan to start a relationship to monkey branch. I didn't plan to start an affair at all. I often dreamt of what my ideal partner would be like. I'd wish for the chance to be with somebody who was kind, predictable, responsible. I'd usually convince myself I was unworthy of somebody like that and that my husband was probably the best I could get. My affair partner is a good person, despite continuing our affair after finding out I was married. He tried to end it, but I convinced him not to and told him some of the true details of my marriage. I selfishly dragged him into this mess because he was exactly the type of person I dreamed of being with, and I was too selfish to let him go until I could find the balls to go through with a divorce. He even tried to help me make appointments with divorce lawyers ages ago, because I was too scared to take that step, and I'd end up canceling the appointments. He doesn't clean the snow off my car though, because he lets me park my car in the garage while his car is parked in the driveway. He actually cleans his house, shares the responsibility for cooking dinner, does yard work, and is really down to earth and super funny and social. My STBX is not social at all. He also never wants to do anything with me. I don't want to do anything crazy, just go for a walk, a hike, out to eat, to a street fair, simple things like that. My STBX never wanted to do anything with me. We never went on dates or did anything together. On the very rare occasion he'd agree, he'd want to rush whatever it was we were doing and he'd be so tense the whole time and often complaining like a bored little child that it wasn't even fun. My affair partner is the complete opposite. He'll do almost anything I suggest. He likes going places, meeting new people, learning about things I like. He also has friends, unlike my STBX, and I'm now starting to make new friends through him. He's also never been unemployed, and if he was ever unemployed I guarantee you it wouldn't be from laziness. I have no doubt that he'd also suck up his pride and get any job he had to in the interim to be able to support his hypothetical family. Because he's a real man who understands responsibility and isn't so full of himself that he couldn't temporarily lower himself to a job he hated so that his family could eat and his wife didn't have to be stressed for 2 years straight carrying the entire load while he sat around playing video games all day while she was at work. Oh, and he's objectively better looking than my STBX and I actually desire to be with him sexually. It's obvious he has a much better idea of what he's doing too. I had only been sleeping with my STBX out of obligation for years. My STBX never gave me an orgasm in our entire time together. I've had orgasms during sex with him, but only with a toy and only when I don't focus on being with him. On the night when I threw water at him and stormed off in my underwear and t-shirt, it was because he wouldn't leave me alone. He served me with the divorce papers and it's like he wanted some sort of confrontation. He kept goading me, like he wanted to argue. He appeared to me to be under the influence of alcohol, slightly unsteady on his feet, bloodshot eyes that were not from tears, a slur to his speech. He started off calm but with the flip of a switch he started yelling and saying things to try to get a reaction. I told him I wanted to be left alone. I was very upset. I think I felt a mixture of things. Relief that he'd filed, but also panic because he's been this twisted insecure security blanket of mine for so long. I also felt guilty for bringing a child into this mess, for not being able to fix things to give her the perfect family and home that I wanted her to have. I also felt sort of jealous that he'd gotten the guts to file while I was never able to do it. He was acting like he obviously felt he'd won. He kept following me around the house no matter where I went. I told him I wanted to be alone please. I was begging him. I told him I needed some time to process everything. We have no locks on any doors so there was nowhere I could go to get away from him. I was so upset and I threw the water on him and ran out of our former bedroom where we had last been arguing. I ran to my car because I could lock the door and be alone. He came outside. He started calling me an idiot and yelling through the window. I was so annoyed that I drove off. I parked around the corner and just sat there and sobbed. I sobbed about everything, for my daughter, for the mess I made of my life by ever starting a relationship with him, and because I just wanted to be able to be alone somewhere in my own home and to deal with a normal adult who could respect that I wanted to be left alone and just leave me alone. I was only there in the car a few minutes, crying and then trying to breathe and gather myself enough to go back. My mental health is in the gutter but I'm not a psycho or a narcissist or any of the things people have said about me. I'm not evil. He's told a lot of untruths online. As stupid as it is, it really hurt to see a bunch of strangers immediately call me a liar and post messages of support for him. This has nothing to do with making up false accusations to better my chances in the divorce. I have no legs to stand on since I never called the police during any of the instances when I should have. I was too embarrassed. So I never called for help and there's nothing on record. I know that and also know he's somehow really good at convincing everyone, not just online, that he's this good guy who would never do any of those things. I know nobody will believe me and that I have no evidence. Ever wonder why he's never commented on the suggestions to have cameras in our home? He knows what they'd really capture. I'm the one who should have had hidden cameras in the house. I'm not longer living there. I don't even care if he gets the house and I'm accused of abandoning the marital home. Nobody has to believe me. I just want to put it out here because I'm trying to learn how to be honest, how to not be embarrassed, and how to not be intimidated by him. This has been cathartic to type out, and I hope to be able to find the bravery to actually verbally share it with a therapist in the near future. STBXW2 Our daughter out of state. My STBXW has now taken our daughter back home to where her family lives. Her family came out here to meet the baby for the first time. This had already been planned when we were still living together. Honestly, was pretty relieved that they would no longer being staying with me/us. Since moving back in with Gumbo she was making it really hard for me to see my daughter. Not being present at agreed upon times to exchange her, stuff like that. He was also done with the nice guy act. She's told him all sorts of lies, similar to what she's been posting here on Reddit. Things about me abusing her, raping her, and so on. I have no doubt that she's also told her families these things. She posted that she knew I'd be a good dad, yet supposedly I was abusive and raped her. Those things don't go together. They came out to visit and I didn't see them at all. Her excuse for trying to prevent me to see my daughter at that time was that her family was here to spend time with them and I should allow them to have the full time since it was going to be so short. Sorry, I still deserve to see my kid regardless of her relatives being in town. She made the mistake of posting something on social media that somebody we both know saw. I can't see her socials anymore. I immediately informed my lawyer. We have a pending custody case right now and this is illegal for her to take our child out of the state with the judge's permission, which she doesn't have. She was supposed to have returned to work by now, but apparently she's not planning to go back. I contacted her and she insisted she just went home to visit and to get some peace of mind. She swears it was just a visit. Either way, my lawyer filed an emergency custody order, more to signify to the court that I am not okay with this. So, she is literally flying back here as we speak, or she's supposed to be, but not before telling me how much she hates me and to fuck myself several times. She knew that while our divorce and custody proceedings are underway she wasn't allowed to leave the state with the baby. Neither of us are. I honestly can't believe she was that stupid, even after everything else she's done. At the end of the day, it's just going to make her look bad but her behavior is really just becoming more and more worrisome. I'm going to be dealing with this forever. People say 18 years but it doesn't end at 18. It's exhausting just thinking about dealing with this forever. Note there were other updates in his profile, but unfortunately, I can no longer see them even using Reddit. The basic gist of what I can remember is that they are co-parenting when their daughter suddenly had a dislocated arm. Alarm arises, and suspicion of abuse by the ex-wife emerges, however, thankfully, the baby isn't being mistreated. After being seen by a doctor, they concluded it was simply unfortunate genetics that their daughter has a condition that basically increases the chance of her arm socket dislocating. Thankfully, it was caught earlier. From what I remember, his relationship with his ex is cordial though still obviously hurts. There are still some tensions but nothing to overcome. He now views the co-dad as an alright guy. He still doesn't want him around, but he does admit he will probably be a good influence to her daughter. As for OP, he's doing everything he can for his daughter. Funnily enough, he did say people kept on DMing him nudes, which he does appreciate and lifts his mood. Other than that, he isn't in a new relationship though he did say he slept around but was forward in not wanting any commitment at the moment. Sadly this is all I could remember. Stories number 22. AITA for not getting properly dressed during an emergency. Last night my F26 shower knob broke off while I was going to turn it on. As this happened, water began spraying out of the knob and into the tub. Thankfully my drain didn't overflow and flood, but I had zero idea how to turn it off. Now this is important later, my boyfriend has access to the Ring camera I use at my house and I was texting him as all of this was going on. I'm trying to call the landlord to figure out what to do, and I'm making sure the tub isn't overflowing. My landlord wasn't answering. I just so happened to catch my neighbor from across the hall as he was coming home and in my panic I asked him for help. He very quickly was able to stop the water from flowing by sticking a pair of pliers in the broken knob and turning something. So the day was saved. I didn't think anything of this and kinda just finished my night and went to bed. So also important later, as all of this happened obviously I was getting ready to shower, so I was wearing a pair of boys shorts and a tank top, nothing I'd even come close to wearing around others normally. I hadn't texted my boyfriend back for a while all of this was happening so he ended up checking the Ring camera. He saw me in front of the door freaking out asking my neighbor for help, last motion captured by the camera, and also saw I was wearing essentially underwear while all of this happened. As soon as I let my neighbor in was the next time I texted my boyfriend what was happening. So it wasn't like I didn't inform him of what was going on. He's extremely upset that I ended up asking my neighbor for help without getting more dressed. In the moment I literally didn't think about it. It's hard to explain over text but the entire situation was just a shit show. I was running around like a chicken with its head cut off. I tried explaining all of this but he's still upset at me. The more and more I think about it I just don't feel sorry. I don't know how to explain it. I feel like I'm an asshole for feeling like I'm justified in asking for help, hence why I'm here tongue sticking out. Also edit for clarity since I kind of just word dumped, I'm asking Aita for refusing to apologize. He hasn't answered me and the last thing he sent me was, if you don't see anything wrong with any of that, referring to asking my neighbor for help, then I don't know what to tell you. I'm not apologizing because I feel like I don't need to and I'm curious if unbiased strangers feel the same. Also some info because I've been getting messaged about it. He's specifically mad because in the clip from the doorbell I stumble out of the door, from running around so much, and my ass is hanging out of my shorts because, well, they're underwear and had ridden up. which I almost immediately fixed as we entered my apartment. Stories number 23. AITA for blocking my brother after he tried to force me to get back with my ex. So my brother, 20M, is now blocked after my ex who I have a DVP against showed up at my home last night begging for a second chance. I called the cops and they cuffed my ex and I saw that he was booked at the CRJ, but was released on bond around 11 a.m. due to his family, or my brother paying it. My brother called me today to tell me to drop the charges and DVP and give him a second chance because you're too good for your now husband. I told my brother he's dead to me and to leave me alone, don't contact me nor my husband and stay away from my child and future kids. I documented the texts where he confirmed he was the one who gave my ex the green light and sent them to my lawyer who forwarded them to whoever needs them, including the CPS worker as my husband's and I son is in foster care right now due to a doctor calling them on us and claiming we didn't take proper care of him because he was hospitalized due to RSV in March. My brother is blocked and my mom is trying to get me to forgive and forget what my brother done, but I cannot express how much danger he put me in last night for her to understand that what he did could have cost me my life. My brother is currently being dishonorably discharged from the army because of this stunt and is blaming me for it because he thinks I should have just got back with my ex and left my husband. Stories number 24. AITA for yelling at my ex-wife for driving our daughter without her booster seat. I 35M share custody of my daughter 9F with my ex-wife. My ex has her on the weekends and drops her off with me every Sunday and of course dropped her off with me today. My ex also has a new husband who has a 5-year-old son. When my ex dropped our daughter off today I noticed she got out of the car from just the regular seat and wasn't in her booster seat. Turns out today my ex and our daughter thought it would be fun to stop off at the park for a while before she dropped her off with me. When the 5-year-old heard this he wanted to come with them and my ex and daughter agreed. My ex didn't want to go through the trouble of uninstalling the 5-year-old's car seat and putting it in her car and her husband needed his car for errands so he said she should just put the 5-year-old in our daughter's booster seat and let her ride with just the seatbelt and my ex agreed to this. I was so upset. I asked my ex how could she be so irresponsible to let our daughter ride without her booster seat. She said she didn't think it was a big deal since it wasn't a long drive and it was just one time and that our daughter liked not being in a booster seat. I got more upset and said it was completely irresponsible to drive our daughter anywhere without her booster seat because it's for her safety. I kinda snapped and yelled at her for a minute because I was so shocked and angry that she would disregard our daughter's safety like that. She got defensive and said he would have been disappointed if she told him he couldn't come with them and our daughter liked not being in a booster seat. I told her it was better to disappoint one child than put another in danger and our daughter is 9, she isn't old enough to make this decision on her own. My ex left upset and has since sent me some angry text messages and her husband sent me one to saying I way overreacted. Stories number 25. AITA for telling my ex to stop coming over when I have our daughter. I am 22, and have a 7-month-old daughter with my ex, 20F. We're not together anymore, but we've been co-parenting since the breakup. I take care of our daughter 3 days a week, and I've been consistent and responsible with it. The problem is, even on my days with the baby, my ex still comes over. Sometimes she says she misses the baby, other times she just sticks around and talks like everything's normal. She'll sit on the couch, stay for hours, and it feels like she doesn't know when to leave. I can't even get one-on-one time with my daughter without her hovering around. On top of that, she still calls and texts at all kinds of inconvenient times late at night, early in the morning, or when she knows I'm busy. It's rarely urgent. Sometimes she just wants to talk, ask about small things, or vent because she's overwhelmed. I finally told her she can't keep coming over during my time or calling at random hours unless it's something serious. I said I'll always be there for our daughter, but I need space and boundaries. She got upset and said I'm being cold, that I should be available 24/7 if I really cared. But I'm already doing my part. I'm not backing out of anything. I just want time to actually be a dad on my own terms without feeling smothered or like we're still in a relationship. AITA for setting those boundaries. Stories number 26. I froze my eggs then had a stroke. Please read if you're considering it. I had a stroke in my early 30s, just a few weeks after freezing my eggs in NYC. Here's what happened and how it could have been prevented. I developed OHSS, ovarian hyperstimulation syndrome, a complication from fertility medications that can cause blood clots. I also had a PFO, a small hole in the heart that 1 in 4 people have. It's usually harmless, but when a clot forms, it can bypass the lungs and go straight to the brain. That's what happened to me. Between the hormones, the birth control, before and after retrieval, and flying, it created the perfect storm. If you're thinking about egg freezing, here are a few things I wish I had known. Ask your doctor directly about clotting risks and other complications. There are tests they can run. Go over your full medical history, even stuff that doesn't seem related. Make sure your fertility doctor, OB, and primary care doctor are communicating. Ask for an echocardiogram to check for a PFO. Wear compression socks on flights. Egg freezing is an amazing option, but it's also a serious medical procedure. With companies offering perks and influencers sharing sponsored cycles, it's easy to forget that this isn't casual wellness. I wish I'd been offered a more conservative round. The goal is often, as many eggs as possible, but more isn't always better. A stroke, or other serious complications, can happen when hormones are involved, whether it's egg freezing, birth control, pregnancy, or menopause. I'm not saying this to scare anyone, but to encourage you to ask questions, advocate for yourself, and consider things like an echo or clotting test. I hope this helps someone. If you have any questions, I'm here. Stories number 27. AITA for asking my husband's sister to consider being a surrogate for us. My husband and I have been trying for pregnancy for years now, and to cut a long story short, it seems as though it will never be a possibility. It took a long time to come to terms with, but we've gradually got there. Our entire family is aware of the journey we've been on and how much it meant to us. With that in mind, my husband and I came to his sister, Sarah, with a proposal. Sarah is in her early 30s, unmarried, and vocally against having children of her own. Despite this, we thought she might be open to the idea of a surrogate pregnancy on our behalf, given she would not have to be involved in raising the child personally. My husband is extremely close to his family, and the idea of the entire process of surrogacy being contained to his blood felt extremely important to him. With that closeness in mind, we did not feel it was out of order to ask this sort of question. We invited Sarah over for dinner and at the end of it laid out our request. We told her we had been saving over the years and would be willing to pay her as much as a regular surrogate would be paid, a pretty hefty fee, so she would be able to take time off from work if it was required, help her out with everything she needed, plus we had no expectations that she must help raise the child just because she carried it. We told her why it was important to us and how much it'd mean, and asked her to have an open mind about it. Sarah exploded at us. She said we were both out of our minds for making such a request, extremely selfish, and that we had no respect for her disinterest in children. She actually left early. Right now she's refusing to take calls from us and even went as far as to ask my husband's parents to tell us to both not contact her until she decides to initiate it herself. My husband's parents are sympathetic to us but say that we should have kept in mind Sarah's difficulties. My parents think she is behaving awfully. Most of my friends are on my side, but a few have said that it was a bit of a rude request given everyone knows how much Sarah hates kids. It's really weighing on my mind and I honestly never expected this kind of outcome. She literally blocked us on every platform she could. Are we really the ones behaving like an asshole? Stories number 28. Aita for questioning Brazilian GF's physical relationship with her adult son. I am 46M. I have a 43F GF who is from Brazil. Her adult son is 23M and is currently visiting her from Brazil. He is staying with her in her apartment. 4 days ago I was sitting on the couch with her son when she walked through the living room naked to go take a shower. I looked towards her son and he watched her the entire time she walked through the space boobs ass vagina. All of it last night. I came over to her apartment a little earlier than I had planned and I walked back to the bedroom and found her and her son laying on the bed together. They were interlocked in a face-to-face spoon and he is kissing her on her neck and cheek. As soon as I walked in they both jumped up and it was a very awkward conversation that followed. Apparently in Brazilian culture this is normal. I stated to them that in American culture this is not normal at all. To which they both laughed at me. I have been with this woman for 6 months and there are no other issues. Am I the asshole for being completely sickened and turned off by this strange behavior and also considering ending the relationship for what I have seen? Stories number 29. My fiancé, 24F, made a friend at the dog park, 28M, and now he is stalking her. I, 23M, got a text while I was at work a couple days ago that my recently enfianced girlfriend of nearly 8 years, 24F, was going to get food with a friend at 9:30 p.m. I finally arrived home at 11:30 p.m. that day to find she was not home, her car was still here and she was in a different part of town maybe half a mile away. We share locations of our cell phones. I text her to see if she's okay and says she's fine, but after that apparently things get weird. The guy, 28M, she was hanging out with starts making moves and she texts me our safe word, paranoid me was already waiting at the window my keys. I pick her up and the guy says, I hope you don't think this was, no shit, Sherlock, that was all you needed to say. My fiancé was terrified and shaking. We talked a bit about why you can't rely on strangers for your ride home. Apparently he told her he doesn't have to know, while he was refusing to take her home and trying to touch her thighs. This guy now came over yesterday and knocked on the door while I was at work, wondering what if any options I have beyond boilerplate violence. Edit. They apparently have been at the dog park a number of times over the last few weeks. My fiancé is kind of reclusive, to say the least, and I'm more than happy for her to make friends. Not just a random dude by any means. Edit 2, I believe the play-by-play was this, fiancé took dogs to dog park. Met guy there, they talk and decide they were going to hang out and have dinner. Takes dogs home, guy picks her up and goes to local establishment. Each pay for their own food and go to his place for a fire. They aren't alone, there are other people inside. I call her concerned about her not being home at midnight without her car with her. She says I'm fine, I'll be home in 20, then he suggests they smoke before she leaves. He gets weird after this, dodges bringing her home and makes moves. She texts safe word and I bust ass over there. Next day at 3 in the afternoon he shows up at my front door while I'm working, fiancé terrified. I didn't see the text in time to bust ass out of work and perform boilerplate violence. Edit 3. I believe I went back to work at 7 o'clock from lunch. She mentioned she was going to the dog park then and usually spends an hour or two there. After reviewing text timestamps, got text informing me of going out to eat at 9:36 p.m. I text her at 11:46 p.m. Are you okay? No response for 10 minutes, so I drove to her location and called her, cause I'm thinking this is exactly a murder mystery situation. Car left at house etc. per above, and then picked up immediately, 11:55 p.m. I believe I heard a couple people in the background during the phone call. She said she was fine and everything. I text her at 12:05 a.m. How are you getting home after I leave? No response. Again, 12:23 a.m. When should I expect you home? Responds a minute later, soon finishing a smoke. Then, at 12:49 a.m. she texts me with our safe word. See Edit 2. Edit 4. Apparently this guy also has a girlfriend per my most recent conversation with my fiancé. We will be tracking her down and informing her. According to my fiancé she was very clear with him that I existed, was wearing her rings etc. If she was acting when I picked her up it was impeccable, but she is not known to be manipulative in the past. Edit 5. Upon questioning the following morning, she recounted everything clearly and coherently. She was glancing to her left rapidly the whole time, and did not stutter, think or otherwise drag out the explanation. The timeline matched clearly. Previous mental history is consistent with others who may make these same mistakes. She was also not concerned about me checking her phone for any reason, though I declined to actually go through it. I will be cross-referencing all this with Jackass Saturday afternoon to see how well their stories match and go from there. So far as I'm aware 28M has not shown up again. Edit 6, putting this to bed for the time being. I'm currently reasonably convinced that this was in fact a horribly mismanaged experience due to poor social skills, anxiety and depression. We will be pursuing therapy. 28MS mother is incredibly displeased. 28MS girlfriend is ballistic. I'll just leave it at that. Stories number 30. Mysael didn't want to follow my house rules, so I let her follow mine the hard way. Mysael moved in with us temporarily after she and her boyfriend had a huge fight and she stormed out of their condo. She said she just needed a few days to cool off, that turned into 2 weeks real quick. Before she settled in, I told her up front, simple rules. Clean up after yourself, no blasting music past 10, and absolutely no smoking inside, since she's a smoker. She nodded, of course. I totally get it, promise. Fast forward a week. The house reeked of cigarette smoke, there were dishes piling up, and her Bluetooth speaker was going off like we were in a club. I reminded her nicely at first. She just laughed and said, "You're starting to sound like your mom." And I was like okay. So the next day, I changed the Wi-Fi password, locked the laundry room, and hid the spare keys to the front gate. When she asked why nothing was working, I told her with a straight face, "Oh, I figured you don't follow the house rules, so you must not need the house privileges either." She sulked for 2 days, then finally cleaned the kitchen and asked for the password back. I made her say, "I will follow the Queen's rules in the Queen's castle." She muttered it like a kid being forced to apologize, but hey, words are words. I handed her the Wi-Fi password like I was granting royal pardon. Guess who's been behaving ever since? Stories number 31. AITJ for refusing to give up my plane seat for a grieving mother. I, 23M, was on a 10-hour international flight heading home from my university exchange program. I had saved up for months to afford this trip, and with some extra money, I splurged on a premium economy seat so I'd have more legroom. I'm 6 feet 3 inches, and could actually sleep. This was a big deal to me. I rarely treat myself. About 20 minutes before boarding, a woman, maybe mid-40s, approached me at the gate with a flight attendant. She asked me very politely if I'd be willing to swap my seat for hers in regular economy so she could sit next to her young son, who was seated beside me. She told me she was flying home from her father's funeral and didn't want to be apart from her son during the flight. I asked where her seat was, and it was in the very back row, non-reclining, middle seat. I felt terrible, but I said no. I told her I understood her situation, but I paid extra for this seat, and I needed the space and rest after a long, emotional semester. She got teary-eyed and didn't argue, just walked away. But I overheard her say to the flight attendant, "I guess some people only care about themselves." The flight went on. Her son, maybe 8 or 9, was quiet the whole time, didn't even talk to me. After landing, another passenger tapped me on the shoulder and said, "You could have shown some humanity." Now I feel awful. I don't owe anyone my seat, but I keep wondering if I should have just done it. Stories number 32. My friend posted a not proper picture of me on Insta. I, 15F, and my BFF, 15F, had a sleepover last night and today she posted sleepover dumps on her story. I saw it a little too late, like 6 hours after it was posted. She's kind of a public figure on Insta, 40k followers, and you can already guess that the majority of her followers are P3 dose. We talked about it a lot and she's never worried about it. I also told her I was never comfortable with her sharing my face on there, but she did, and it's also a picture of me in a tank top and no bra, with my hair up. It was a picture of us, but she did not ask me if she could post that. She tagged me too, and now I have so many follower and DM requests from pedos, married men, and just creeps in general. People from our school have seen it too and met me asking if I stopped wearing hijab, and I'm scared it might reach to my parents. I educated her about my culture and religion, but it seems like she doesn't take it seriously or take me seriously. I feel so exposed and the picture is still up. I want to go to her house, but since I had sleepover last night, I can't go out today. Strict parents logic, and she doesn't want to come over either. I feel violated. Am I overreacting? I don't know, she's making me feel like I am. Gallery of texts. Me, why did you add that picture? Me, can you delete? BFF, ha. BFF, why grinning squinting face, we look cute. Me, I wear hijab. BFF, yes you do. BFF, what does that have to do with my story? BFF, sorry grinning face with sweat. Me, I've explained to you before. Me, I'm a Muslim. Me, and you added a picture of me not wearing AA hijab, in a tank top, braless. BFF, yeah, because we were having a sleepover. BFF, I don't get it. BFF, yeah, you said you can't show your hair if we're going outside. Me, can you just delete now? Me, I'm serious, I'm getting a lot of DMS. Me, it's not just hair, OMG please just delete. Me, like repost without that picture. Me, I'm stressing out. BFF, but so many people have seen it. BFF, if I repost it it's like I'm desperate for attention. BFF, just block them. BFF, don't stress. BFF, it will be okay. BFF, you looked pretty. BFF, we look pretty, don't worry. Small update. I just realized she added it to her highlights. Even if it reaches 24 hours it will still be there. She's not answering my messages and calls too. Update. I read a lot of your comments and I reported the story. It's still there, but I have asked some of people I know to also report it. I also don't feel like being her friend anymore, but then she has a lot of pictures of us. Some questioned why I was wearing that. Well, it's a sleepover and we took cute pictures as memories. Also wanna add that my parents are strict and protective, not violent. Please don't be Islamophobic. Thank you for your advices and for validating how I feel. It really helps me mutter up my courage, and I'm going to tell my parents soon. I think they would hate that she crossed my boundaries too. I was just scared because my nipples was hard in that picture and I didn't want them to see me like that. I didn't even notice it IRL and it felt violating that she posted that. I mean, being a Muslim is one thing, and it's completely my choice to wear hijab and not show myself in certain ways for the public. But I was in a tank top with hard nipples, posted on a story which her average story viewers are in 5 digits, full of P3 dose that DMS her almost every day. I also have let her know that I don't want to be seen on her posts and that I don't want to be seen like that in public. I know now that she is not my friend. Edit. It was a sleepover and we were ready for bed. It wasn't for anyone else to see and I didn't even notice that it was hard at the time. I wanted to disappear when I saw that story, getting lots of DM requests. I felt naked in that picture. We took pictures that I thought would stay between us because I was clearly not decent, with my nipples hard and showing. I just don't understand her or understand why. I trusted her to delete it the first time I said it, then I got frustrated and stressed, of course. Sad face. Trust me, I was shaking, because the DMS I got were outrageous. And since her account is public and she also made our school name public, I got DMS of people saying they know where to find me. It's hard to keep my cool. I'm honestly so paranoid right now while also trying to organize my thoughts and words to tell my parents once they get home. I took a lot of screenshots too, so I just need to be braver now. It's still up. I keep checking every 5 minutes on a new account because I deactivated my main. It's making me anxious. Update. Wish I could add more screenshots. In summary, I'm still waiting for my parents to come home from work because someone said I should have this conversation face to face and I think so too. My friend replied to me. She asked me why I deactivated my Insta. She told me she'll delete it soon, but it's still there. Maybe she thinks I'm not watching. Insta report wasn't helping me at all. I thought of asking for help here but that wouldn't be smart because it's a big identity giveaway. Also in the text, I seemed to focus mainly on my hair exposure / hijab but honestly I was just in disbelief that she didn't get it at all. I was trying to hint her. I didn't want to assume that she's forgetful and was hoping it was a mistake, because it was so obvious that my nipples print were visible. I thought she was my friend and understood me. She also said, I get those, DMS, all the time, and said I worry about nothing. I don't know how to feel now. I've read a lot of supportive messages and from parents that share a similar experience of their daughters. I just need my parents right now, just waiting for them to come home. And everyone is right about her being groomed. I don't want to just cut her off. She always told me stories about her and the men in her DMS like it's normal. I just listen and don't judge, but I told her many times how wrong it is, but she said that it's safe because it's online. But it's just not, because she made our school name public by posting pics in front of it. I think her parents know, but I'm telling my parents too so they can have a talk maybe. I'm scared for her too and don't want to leave her. But I also feel betrayed and hurt by her actions. It's kind of funny how some people sees a post that blows up and immediately assume it's karma farming. Cause TBH I didn't expect it to get this much recognition either. I feel more exposed now and I don't like that either. But I'm not here to convince anyone and can't wait to delete the whole account once it's all settled. Update. Hi guys, I think I'll keep it short because I haven't been feeling so good. Too much distress and so much had happened and I just want to be alone and not talk to anyone. But I felt like updating the current situation because concerned kind Redditors would like an update. I told my parents, they were mad at her for her behavior and for disrespecting me. We immediately went to their house despite it being 10 p.m. and they were tired from work. Our parents had a talk. I sat across her at the table and her parents wanted to hear both sides. She didn't know what she did wrong but apologized anyway. By the way, she didn't delete the story and let it expire, then told me that she forgot. Her parents went through her phone in front of her and us. Apparently they had no idea that she got famous off TikTok and then Instagram. She posted our sleepover dumps on her TikTok as photo slides. I don't have a TikTok so it wasn't just her story. I can't describe how I felt when I saw that. I don't remember how many views but she had 12k likes on that. It might not seem a lot but to me it felt like the end of the world. Am I overreacting? She apologized to me after my parents and her parents told her about the importance of pretty much everything. My parents saw my OG Reddit post and thought of taking legal action, but they let me make the decision instead. Legal action would be a hassle, sorry if you disagree, to me, plus it would take a long time I think. I don't really know how it works. So I said I don't want to make it bigger than it already is, I just want to feel safe. Her parents offered to pay for therapy but I don't know if what I experienced is valid enough to get therapy. Her parents made her delete her TikTok and Instagram in front of them and us. She was crying. They talked about P3 issues to her and what she's been doing online is dangerous and concerning. They said they were gonna send her to both counseling and therapy. She made a new Insta account and sent me a follower and DM request but I don't feel like talking to her anymore but I also feel bad that she might be feeling alone. I don't want her to seek solace in older men or harm herself. I don't know if I made the right decision but I don't feel hate towards her. My parents don't want her to be my friend anymore and I feel the same way but I just have this guilt, because we had good times together too and I feel really bad overall. I don't know what to do next either. My parents also considered homeschooling me because they don't want me to get bullied, just in case, but I told them we'll see about that first instead of caging myself. Thank you everyone. My parents also said thank you for supporting me and encouraging me to tell them, and I appreciate everyone. Smiley face. I don't know if this is considered as settled. She still has my photos. She deleted them but they could be in the iCloud or recently deleted, so I'm a bit anxious about that. Comments. Is it okay to feel guilty for taking it this far? But she hurt me first and took it far first. I didn't do this to get back at her, but I feel like I ruined something important to her. I also showed the DMS screenshots to my parents and they want to take it to the police too but I'm so stressed out and I don't want to be in the center of this anymore. What are the police are gonna do anyway? My parents think I don't take it seriously enough, but I understand that they are just being concerned parents so I don't know, I'm overwhelmed. I'm the eldest daughter and growing up I had to give up a lot to my siblings and be the bigger person. I guess I forgot that my feelings are also valid and matter. I've always felt like feeling negative emotions are me overreacting and I should just accommodate. I don't know how to unlearn it but maybe I'll get there. Thank you for taking your time to write this. I'll always come back to your comment. Stories number 33. My aunt keep borrowing my makeup, so I let her borrow the wrong one. My aunt's been staying with us for a few weeks while her place is getting fumigated. She was supposed to here just for the weekend, but you know how that goes. Somehow it turned into her moving into our guest room and treating the whole house like her personal shopping mall. She's been helping herself to my clothes, my snacks, and most annoyingly, my makeup. I told her nicely, more than once, please stop using my makeup. That stuff isn't cheap and you don't even ask. She'd just laugh and say, oh come on, you have so much. You won't even notice. Well, I noticed every time. So one day I switched out the label on an old concealer tube with one that matched my current shade. The old one was way too light, borderline ghostly. I left it sitting on top of my vanity like bait. Sure enough, I hear her in the bathroom later that day, humming while doing it. Her face didn't say a word. Next week, she shows up to a family dinner wearing full glam and her under eyes were blinding. Like, glow in the dark white. In every picture she looked like a raccoon in reverse. She pulled me aside and asked, did you change something in your makeup? Mine looked weird. I just smiled and said, oh maybe it wasn't your shade after all. But I'm sure you won't even notice. She stared at me for a second like she was trying to figure out if I was messing with her. Then she just huffed, muttered something under her breath about people being sneaky, and stomped off to her room. She still stays with us now and then, but funny enough, she hasn't touched a single thing of mine again. Stories number 34. My roommate the thief. My college boyfriend came up with the idea so I can't take credit. In college, I shared a room with a thief who stole jewelry. For backstory, I lived on a 32-person floor set up in 4 8-person suites that shared a single common study room where each person had an assigned desk. When my roommate was away for a long weekend, the uni workmen did some maintenance and moved the desks in the study room. When they moved my roommate's desk, the workmen found a box they turned into me because they thought it was hers. It contained jewelry, including 2 pairs of earrings I thought I had lost and a bracelet and a necklace owned by 2 other suite mates. When my roommate returned, I asked her about the box and she claimed no knowledge of it and claimed none of the jewelry was hers. I couldn't prove she took the jewelry, so I used her school email anytime I was asked for an email for the next 2 years. Interested in volunteering to feed the poor? Signed up by email. Political PAC newsletters. Signed up by email. Interested in next year's a cappella group tryouts? Signed up by email. Along with every website that asked for an email. My boyfriend signed her up for porn websites and job searches. It isn't illegal and she couldn't prove who was doing it, but I know it was annoying. Plus she couldn't get a new university email so she was stuck with the spam until she graduated. The rest of the jewelry in the box was turned into the resident assistant/building office and they sent out a lost and found email to the whole building. I think all but 2 pieces ended up being claimed. Stories number 35. Boss has become incompetent due to mom brain. What can I say/do without being discriminatory? She's a lovely person and I've adored working with her. But since she's come back from maternity leave over 2 years ago now, she's been a shell of her former self. She is constantly forgetful, much more emotional, and very clearly doesn't have her heart in it anymore. She is constantly preoccupied with thoughts of her child. She cannot remember anything and I feel like I've become her manager because I'm the one reminding her to do things and checking in on her. I've had to become completely self-sufficient and proactive because she just isn't managing. Frankly, I'm not sure what she's doing with her time. Her emotional instability is also a huge issue as we deal with very sensitive things in our work. She has become a lot more black and white, can't stand difficult decisions to the point she won't make them, and just, illogical. Like there was a new employee in our team who did absolutely fuck all for all of their probation, and she simply refused to fire them because she was young and someone's child. FFS. The employee finished probation, ended up making a massive gaffe from the lack of doing anything, that senior management finally noticed, and got let go with a pretty neat severance package. Huge cost to us, because our manager was too sentimental. I say this as a woman and I really don't want to shit on a working mom, but she just shouldn't be working in this state. At least not in such a senior role. I do believe she's just completely sleep deprived, but that doesn't negate her performance, and it's been over 2 years. How long are we meant to wait for her to get back to normal? The thing is, senior management don't care because her target is to make sure we meet our targets, and we do, just without her help. So it's going entirely unnoticed, whilst down here it feels like we've been abandoned with a drunk captain of the ship. I hate writing this because I like her as a person, but I'm so frustrated at her incompetence. I don't know if there's anything I can do or say. Stories number 36. AITA for saying guests could go ahead and leave my 4th of July party. Asshole. I, 33F, hosted a 4th of July party for my friends. A friend brought their relatively new spouse. Met him once at a restaurant and spoke for a few minutes. I have 2 German shepherds, Jameson and Guinness. My house is their house. I chose this property because it was a good fit for them. This friend, 32F, dislikes my dogs on a bad day to being tolerant of them on a good day. When they arrived, both dogs wanted to say hi, neither my friend or the spouse acknowledged them. I found that annoying. Literally everyone else that showed up said hi to my dogs. Like all 20 other people. They sat on the couch when Guinness came up to them. I see him say something to my friend. My dogs are the sweetest things ever. He gently pushed Guinness away and he asked me if I could put the dogs in another room, citing they don't want the dog bothering them during the party. I backed up my dogs, told them I'm sorry, but this is Jameson and Guinness's house, you need to deal with it or leave. My dogs live here and they don't get put away for anyone. If you just pet them, they'll leave you alone. After a brief convo, they decided to leave. I told them they don't call the shots at my house about my dogs. The rest of my friends were split on how I acted. Some said it wasn't a big deal to put them in another room for a few hours and others said I was right. Stories number 37. Does the style of this rug fit our living room? Hello, we are in a process of furnishing and decorating our apartment. We just got a sofa, which is muted green color, photographs cool, is actually neutral. Now is the time to pick out a new rug. I wanted to make our living room look cohesive, my husband wants something comfy to stretch on in front of the TV. The thing is, I absolutely love this wool irregular rug that imho somewhat different style than our TV stand and pottery. But the colors tie in the green of the sofa and walls, there are pinks to offset the green, there is yellow that brightens and ties in the armchair in the corner is actually egg yolk yellow, just has a cover on our end because we have little kids, it has light and dark neutrals, also I just simply loved it the first time I saw it, but what do you think? Is it too much? Should I just go for a cotton kalim? Also, if you have any decorating tips that are not about the rug, feel free to share. Comments. Comment 1, I wouldn't BC that chair is quite colorful and busy as it is. Reply, okay, noted. The pattern of the cover is really over the top, but underneath the chair is dark yellow. That might work, no. Comment 1, I think so yes. Comment 2, something about the shapes and colors is giving me Cubist cheeseburger vibes. But, I don't hate it and think it would go well with your couch, not so much the chair. Comment 3, only if you burn the chair. Reply, based on all of the responses I might just start with the cover. Update 1, I got the rug. In the wrong size, lol. This one is 160 by 100 centimeters. I should have ordered 160 by 230 centimeters. I don't know what I was thinking. It's also wool and more expensive than any rug we've ever gotten. But it looks amazing and is soft and colors are great. Everyone was so helpful in my last post, I thought I would share this progress. I have to talk to my husband and convince him to size up. Comments. Comment 1, unexpected baby for scale. Comment 2, unexpected baby is my new favorite unit of measurement. Comment 3, my thought was even the baby is disappointed face with tears of joy. Comment 4, the baby is exasperated. Like, I think I'll just stick to crawling around this sofa for now. Comment 5, amazing. Reminds me of when I ordered a dress on Amazon once and when it arrived realized it was a dress for dolls. Comment 6, so for us non-metric thinkers, this one is about 3 by 5 foot and OP is thinking the 5 by 7.5 one will be big enough. Comment 7, OP needs 8 by 10 at least. Comment 8, I don't mean to laugh, but this is so genuinely funny and I hope you're finding the humor in it, too, OP. We have definitely all made sizing mistakes before, so don't sweat it too much. I hope you can upgrade the size eventually, but if not, get creative and put that fun rug somewhere it will work. Update 2, okay, well this blew up. Thanks for being kind and funny, I laughed the whole day. I'm pretty sure there's a lot more to life than being really, ridiculously bad with tape measure. Since I cannot edit post with pictures, I would like to answer many of your questions here. The rug is from Rug Vista, it's called Jardan, and you can return Rug Vista rugs back for free. Our couch is from Xlutz. Oh, and our door was actually sleeping, she can sleep in almost any position, just like a cat. I heard you. Even the midsize would be too small. My husband likes the rug, so we agreed on a compromise, we are going to buy a big jute rug, 200 by 300 centimeters, and layer them. Thanks for the idea, many of you suggested it. I actually wanted a jute rug in the beginning, but my husband wished for something comfy to stretch his back on. The largest size of the Jardan rug would not fit in our room, but the jute one can be placed partially under the sofa as it should be, so this should work fine. We do not want to buy polypropylene or polyester rug, we agreed natural fibers or viscose only. And yes, we own a tape measure, we measured, but we should have used a masking tape to actually see it I guess. Mea culpa. Stories number 38. Aita for telling my wife that she either stops reading before bed or we go back to sleeping separately. I think I'll start by explaining, my wife and I recently moved to new house. We previously had separate rooms because of her kicking me in sleep. In our new house, we decided to try sharing a room, and for 6 months, it worked fine. The thing is, my wife recently started reading before bed. What's so strange about that, what's the problem? She's very loud. If something funny happens, she starts laughing and shaking the bed. If she has any theories about the plot, she will say them out loud. She also sometimes nudges me and shares her thoughts with me. It's tiring. Sometimes I'm close to falling asleep and then she wakes me up. At first I tried to talk to her about it calmly, but any improvement lasted 2 days. We always end up coming back to her being loud. Yes, I also tried wearing earplugs, but it doesn't help with her tugging, poking, and other such things. Tonight I was done. It was after midnight, and she still wasn't asleep. She'd already woken me up 4 times, so I grabbed my pillows and blankets and went into the other room. She didn't follow me, but in the morning she asked what was wrong. I told her straight out that I was tired and constantly sleep-deprived by her habits. I also told her that either she stops reading before bed/starts reading somewhere else, or we will sleep separately. She didn't like it. She told me I couldn't have a second room because it was supposed to be for our future baby. I can be an asshole here, but I told her I didn't care and that I was willing to choose sleep over the baby. She went to her sister's 2 hours ago and hasn't spoken to me since, and I'm slowly starting to lose my confidence. I know I may have been harsh, but I really need sleep. Stories number 39. My husband, 32M, left me, 32F, after almost 15 years together and wants me to forget and let him come home. What are my next steps to stop that? My husband and I have been married for almost 2 years, but together for almost 15. He is my only long real boyfriend I have had in my adult life, and we have 2 children together. We have had a rocky relationship from the beginning if I'm being honest, but the last 3 years have, for the most part, been pretty great. The turning point for our relationship, I feel, was after he got blackout drunk at his friend's wedding and spent the entire 1.5 drive home, that I drove him and his friend home from as I was sober, screaming at me and saying nasty things. Since then things have been pretty good. I have been working on myself, have lost weight, putting more effort into myself and my appearance, and have been making new friends. About 5 months ago he woke up one day and told me he wasn't happy with his life or me and wanted to leave. He then decided he was wrong and didn't want to leave. Not to drag it on too much, but a highlight reel of the last 5 months is he has left me 4 to 5 times and comes back every time saying he's sorry. Been unhappy when I have gone for dinner or to see girlfriends. Got blackout drunk again, and behaved horrendously towards me. I can't really talk about it on the thread. The same night as above there was some severe drama with his family. I am also being made to be the villain for telling them this behavior is disgusting, especially since our 2 children were asleep in bed when everything was happening. Called me every name under the sun, often in front of our children. Accused me multiple times of having affairs, with absolutely no suspicions. I didn't realize a few of the things can't be discussed here. His excuses are that he doesn't feel loved enough by me and I'm not affectionate enough. But it's hard to feel affectionate to someone who is treating you like shit. I am getting very little family support and being made to feel guilty for breaking our family up if I don't let him just come back home. But he is never going to change. I guess I'm just looking for some validation and support that I'm making the right decision because I keep being told I'm wrong. What are my next steps to stay strong in my decision to not take him back, and try and establish a healthy co-parenting relationship for our children? Update: my husband, 32M, left me, 32F, after almost 15 years together and wants me to forget and let him come home. What are my next steps? I just wanted to firstly say thank you to everyone for all of your responses. I can't tell you how much they've helped me through this time, and every time I was struggling I went back and looked at them all. I just wanted to address a few things mentioned in the comments and then give an update, so skip to the end if you just want the update. Smiling face. I have spent the last few weeks really thinking about our relationship and the dynamics, and honestly it's difficult to really think about and embarrassing to think I've allowed this for so long. Some background to our relationship and dynamics of my life. We started seeing each other at 15, and on reflection I can see that he was pressuring me even back then to do what he wanted, e.g. pressuring me into losing my virginity when I didn't want to, but thankfully a friend intervened for me. I grew up in a house filled with domestic violence and an extended family that was very dysfunctional from trauma. Around the time we first met, my stepdad, who raised me, and separated from my mom about 3 years prior, told me his new partner didn't like me calling me dad, and she was turning my bedroom at his house into her spare room for when her family came to visit, and essentially ended with him abandoning his dad role in my life. The night we started dating at 17 was, in hindsight, deeply troubling. We had been at a local function and had been friends. I was speaking with a mutual friend leading up to this night, and we snuck away to spend time together. When we came back to the function, our mutual friends were laughing about it, and he started screaming at me in front of everyone for hooking up with his friend when I knew he liked me and that I'm a bitch. I followed him out to apologize, no idea what I was apologizing for now, and ended up in a relationship with him. He habitually lied to me about using illicit substances throughout the years. He knew it was a hard limit for me as my relative had passed away from an OD. I know to some people it is a bit ridiculous as it's pretty normal where we are from, but I didn't want to be involved with it in the slightest. He caused friendship breakdowns because friends would come to me and tell me he was using substances, he would deny it and tell me they were lying, and I would end up in arguments with them. He admitted 2 years ago to lying about it because he could see my viewpoint had changed and I was more accepting of it. Our relationship was great for the last 2 to 3 years, 1 to 2 years before our wedding and 1 year after. But on reflection I realize it was because I was just being more obedient to him. I was basically a married single mom and handled everything at home, worked in our business and was the primary parent for our children. Okay, now for the update. I saw everyone's comments about leaving him and running in divorce. That is definitely my plan. But I'm trying to be smart about everything and not rush it and do it on impulse. After my last post I did cave to his pressure and allow him another chance. I told him that I was going to visit my friend's new apartment in the city and go for dinner together. He lost it and tried to forbid from going. I told him I wasn't asking for permission, I was just letting him know. He was yelling and carrying on in front of our children that I either be husband and wife again or he's leaving right now. And I was just overwhelmed and trying to get him to stop, so I agreed. He also admitted to going through my phone to look at my messages with my friend because he didn't trust what I was saying. But shock and horror, a week later he left again. So currently we are not together. He keeps apologizing and telling me he loves me and regrets the things he was saying to me. He keeps asking me, so are you done or do you want to be with me? I reminded him that you left and we're not currently together. I said without real changed behavior I am not willing to be together. And I know that he will not be able to do that because I now realize that I think he is a narcissist, or at least pretty close. In the meantime I have been recording many of our conversations and interactions. I am meeting with a lawyer and speaking with an individual counselor. And trying to get my house in a state for sale without it being obvious. I also forwarded many of our business financial documents to a separate email in case he restricts access to them. His work email is also on my computer as I handled most of his correspondence, and a few days ago he had an email from Snapchat about some password change or something. Not really a huge deal I guess, but I'm pretty confident there is either another specific girl in the picture or he's having casual sex. If there's anything else I should be doing, anything you want clarified, or any thoughts you have, I'd love to hear it. And thank you all again. Stories number 39. AITA for refusing to let my roommate's girlfriend move into our apartment without paying rent. So, I 25 years old live in a 2-bedroom apartment with my roommate, Jake 26. We've been friends since college and split rent, utilities, and chores evenly. Our lease is month to month, and we've always had bills get paid, place stays clean, no drama. About 2 months ago, Jake started dating Sarah 24, and she's been spending a lot of time at our place. Like, a lot. She's here 5 to 6 nights a week, uses our kitchen, bathroom, Netflix, you name it. I didn't mind at first because she's nice enough, and I figured it was just the honeymoon phase. Last week, Jake sat me down and said Sarah's lease is ending soon, and he wants her to move in with us. I was caught off guard but asked how we'd handle rent and bills. He said Sarah's between jobs and can't afford to chip in right now, but she'd help out with chores. Really? I pointed out that we already split chores evenly, and adding a third person means more mess, more utilities, and more strain on our small space. I suggested Sarah pay a third of the rent and utilities once she's employed, but Jake got defensive and said I was being petty and unsupportive. He argued that since she's his girlfriend, it's not like she's a stranger, and I should be cool with it because we're all friends here. Here's my side, I get that Sarah's in a tough spot, and I don't want to seem heartless. I've been unemployed before, and it sucks. But our apartment is tiny, shared bathroom, small kitchen, thin walls. Having a third person full-time would change the vibe, and I don't think it's fair for me to subsidize her living here. I pay $800 per month for my half of the rent, plus utilities, and I budget carefully. If Sarah moves in without contributing, I'm essentially covering part of her costs, which doesn't sit right with me. I also feel like Jake's dismissing my concerns by framing it as me being unfriendly rather than practical. Jake sighed, as he explained it. He says Sarah's only temporarily jobless and will make it up later. He thinks I'm overreacting because she's not some random tenant but his girlfriend, and I should trust she won't mooch forever. He also said I'm making a big deal out of nothing since she's already here most of the time anyway. He pointed out that she's cooked dinner for us a couple of times, so she's contributing in her own way. The conversation ended with Jake saying I'm being unreasonable and that I'm making Sarah feel unwelcome. Now things are tense, and Sarah's been avoiding me when she's over. I don't want to ruin my friendship with Jake, but I also don't think I should have to pay for someone else to live here. AITA for putting my foot down. Stories number 40. AITA for refusing to let my older sister stay with me after what she did to my brother when we were younger. So I 23F live alone in a small apartment that I've worked really hard for. I keep to myself, pay my bills, and try not to bother anyone. My older sister F28 recently asked to stay with me for a few weeks because she's going through a breakup and doesn't want to be alone. She said it would only be temporary, but I told her no, and now half my family is calling me heartless. But here's the thing. When we were growing up, my sister hated our little brother, he's 2 years younger than me. So he was around 10 when this happened. I honestly believe she bullied him. She'd scream at him over nothing, blame him for things she did, and my parents always believed her. One time, she locked him outside in the middle of winter for being annoying, and left him there for almost an hour while she played video games inside. I'll never forget how red his hands were when I let him in. I begged my mom to do something, but she brushed it off as sibling fights. It wasn't just one incident. My brother used to cry to me at night because he thought no one in the family liked him. When I finally moved out, I took him in a few weekends at a time just to give him peace. We're super close now. He is 21 and doing well, but to this day he has zero contact with our sister. She never apologized or even acknowledged how she treated him. So when she asked to stay with me recently, all I could think about was how cold and cruel she was. I told her no, and she went off. Said I was punishing her for childhood stuff, called me cold, selfish and dramatic. Our mom took her side, as usual, and said I was letting my grudge break apart the family. But I'm not holding a grudge. I just don't want to live with someone who made my brother feel worthless for most of his childhood and has never once owned up to it. So. Aita. Stories number 41. It was the kids. Long. Picture it, a 125-room mid-range scariot in northern Minnesota. Whole metro area is booked solid for the week, major wrestling tournament. My property is hosting a large team, and a 250-person wedding/reception at our event center. This happened earlier tonight, Saturday, July 12th. It's 9:45 p.m. I'm at my desk telling every caller that we don't have availability for the next 5 days as soon as I pick up the phone. In between that, a steady stream of check-ins, requests, and people shopping at the market. The wrestlers ate all the beef jerky in the building and left NONE for me. None. Wedding is going on the other side of the building. I haven't seen any of them, besides the maid of honor grabbing keys for the prep room and the bridal suite to store stuff, in hours. Maid of honor comes to my desk. Clearly drunk. She has, I gather, taken a luggage cart, loaded it with stuff from the prep room, and taken it down the hall to the bridal suite, which is right around the corner from the lobby. She would like to know when I saw someone else take it. I answer honestly that I did not see such a thing. Well, clearly I must have, as the luggage cart is gone. Someone must have taken it past me. Of course, the hallway keeps going down past the suite, and there is an elevator, but yes, it obviously must have moved past me. I express some sympathy, shift her to the side to help a few other people, and while I'm doing that, she vanishes again. I check on my camera feeds, no luggage cart in sight on any camera. I go to tell her this. She says we need to run the cameras back, which, I inform her, I cannot do. IT error by my manager when setting them up, only he can access them, and besides, this area isn't covered by cameras. She asks me if there is anything that I am fucking capable of at all. I hear my phone ringing and someone at the desk saying, hello, so I have her follow me back there while I help a few others. In this time, another bridesmaid appears and the two confer. I finish what I'm doing, and return to the maids. They have decided that they know what happened. Obviously the wrestlers stole it, because that is what teenage boys do. I ask my porter to check hallways, stairwells, elevators, the pool, the fitness center, the outdoor areas, for the cart. While I am doing this, the maids wander over to a group of wrestling block parents and tell them that one of their children must have stolen the cart, and are hassling them about it. I hustle over and redirect the maids, saying I'll check with them, and apologize to the parents. This group has stayed at the hotel for almost 2 weeks. Every single year that I've worked there, I know them, I like them, I know their kids are good kids, and they know and like me in turn. I ask them to ask their kids if they have seen the cart, since I 1,000,000% don't believe that their kids would do that, and they start texting and calling. I return to the maids who are waiting outside the bridal suite. I check a nearby conference room that's unlocked, just to be safe, and while I'm doing this, the maid of honor loudly inquires if someone competent, who knows anything, is around, while the other bridesmaid tries to shush her. While trying to sound authoritative, I stutter, and wind up sounding very nervous while reminding this drunken bitch that I am trying to help her and that I don't appreciate her attitude towards me or towards other guests. I threaten, simply not help her, should she continue acting like this. No, I do not care that she is drunk, despite the other bridesmaid trying to make peace, because she is a grown woman and her behavior towards the wrestling team parents was appalling. She counter-argues, but I see the door of the bridal suite behind her. And I have a thought. Hey. Wait. Wait. Stop. Hey, I gave you keys for their room and the prep room earlier. Yeah, and? That doesn't help me. I see a look of slowly dawning horror on the other bridesmaid's face. I step up to the door of the suite and unlock it with my master key, open the door, hit the lights. Sitting 3 feet into the room is the luggage cart. I stare at it for a moment. The maid of honor stares, mouth agape, face crimson. The other bridesmaid is stammering out apologies. I forget that I'm at work. Right fucking there. I throw my hands up partly because, well, why didn't I think of that 35 minutes ago, and stalk back to the desk. One flustered wrestler mom comes up to me. Her kids haven't seen it, none of their friends have. I inform her, taking meditative breaths, that the cart was right there in the fucking room, and the mom barks out a laugh, claps her hand over her mouth, and leans in close to me. Oh my god, what a stupid drunken cunt. She returns to the gaggle of parents to tell them what's up. I do what our sales director wants for every incident with a group and shoot her a quick email detailing the last 35 minutes of my life, in neutral, professional language, and then go to the in-house restaurant, right across the lobby, to tell the server what's up. We laugh. I go back to the desk. As I sit there, the bride and the husband of the other bridesmaid walk up, looking thunderous. The bride thanks me for helping her idiot bitch of a maid of honor find the cart that was not lost and apologizes for ruining my night. I brush her off, congratulate her on her marriage, offer her a drink on the house at the restaurant. She declines but seems calmer after. The husband of the other bridesmaid tells me that the way his wife and her friend were treating me was unacceptable and that I should not have to put up with this. I politely deflect and tell him that I am rather fond of the wrestling group due to knowing them somewhat well and them being delightful to have around, and that while I don't really care how people treat me, I get very bothered by how people treat other guests. He gets the hint, thanks me again, slips me a $20, and stalks away. A few minutes later, his red-faced wife and the teary-eyed maid of honor are profusely apologizing to the parents they bothered, supervised by the husband and the even more pissed-off mother of the bride, who I hear saying something venomous about ruining my daughter's wedding, to the maid of honor as they walk away. The parents thank me, tell me how much they like coming to the hotel while I'm working, and head off to bed. And then, at 10:15 p.m., I finally eat dinner.